Greetings and welcome to House of R in our beautiful, stunning new studio.
It hasn't always looked like this.
It has not always looked like this. We're House of R. We're a Ringerverse podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network. I'm Mallory Rubin.
Mm-hmm.
Joining me today, my poor sweet warrior, all that potting's turned her brain to applesauce. It's Joanna Robinson. It had to be a Fossoway reference for you right at the top.
Of course. Thank you so much. Not a bees, rest in bees for me.
Plenty of Beesbury references coming today. We have a lot of coffin design discourse awaiting us. We are here, in case you can't tell, to discuss The Morrow, which is the season 1 finale of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, episode 6.
Can I just say really quickly?
Yeah.
You are allowed to consume this podcast any way you want. But I would really recommend that you at least check out the video for a bit of this podcast, if not the entirety, because the new studio is wild and exciting.
The team crushed it. The Ringer squad, the Spotify squad.
Our cloaks are here.
We have cloaks.
I mean,
Preston's made the trip. It's great. You will get to see all of the little nooks and crannies of our beautiful new space. You will get to hear us talk about the Night of the Seven Kingdoms season 1 finale.
Correct.
Right after this. Okay, we're back. Programming reminders. You will all see it in your feeds and hear it in your feeds tomorrow. We're recording it later today. House of the Dragon, season 3 teaser trailer. I was like, should we bring outfit changes?
If we're wearing the same clothes, don't worry about it. If we look beleaguered, don't worry about it. It will just be our 5th hour of podcasting. It's fine.
I can't wait. We're going to do that because there's a trailer that television show is coming this summer, June. So we already have our first little glimpse, a minute-ish of footage. We're going to dive into that. And then next week, we will be back.
We're doing a mailbag.
No Sunday. We're not with you on Sunday. No more Talk the Thrones. I mean, we'll be back for Talk the Thrones this summer, but we're going to have a seasonal mailbag coming at the top of next week. So send your questions. Joanna, where should everybody send their questions?
So glad you asked. hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com is the place you want to send them. You've already started. We got a few already just because I think we mentioned we might do this. But if you have if there's anything that in the next 9 hours of us podcasting we do not cover about Night of the Seven Kingdoms or House of the Dragon, you have questions about hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com, we're happy to answer them for you.
Fantastic. Great. How about the spoiler warning for today's Night of the Seven Kingdoms season 1 finale deep dive? How do we handle things?
So I would say everything up through the end of Hedge Night is on the table.
That's right.
Anything in A Song of Ice and Fire is on the table.
Always.
Game of Thrones spoilers go. But future novellas, Dunkin' Egg novellas, we've got a spoiler section for that. So we'll keep that there.
Yeah.
You know?
I wonder, will we be able in our fancy new space to hear the alarming sirens that terrify the masses?
The heart stopping.
That send them running for cover like a dragon shriek from above. I don't know. But you'll hear it at home, even if we don't hear it here.
Tune in to find out.
How can everyone follow along?
So glad you asked. Okay, listen. Why don't you subscribe to the podcast wherever you get podcasts?
Great idea.
But really, you should be watching it today and every day because the set is amazing. It's so incredible. I'm so grateful to be here. And then follow us on social.
That's right.
Gosh.
Yeah. Do
TikTok, Instagram, Twitter.
Sure.
All the places. Why not? And then, of course, hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com, which I already mentioned.
Keep the emails coming.
Keep them coming. We got a lot of great emails today.
The inbox is always open.
Yeah. We got a lot, and it's not even like the tip of the email berg that we got based on this finale. People had a lot of thoughts and feelings about it.
A Night of the Seven Kingdoms has done exactly what we wanted, which was animate the masses. A zeitgeist animating show. Delightful stuff. Okay, we've got a lot to cover today.
Like a post-tourney Raymond Fossoway.
Yes, he's doing great. He's very rapidly moved into the next phase of his life, and I have, I would say, some notes for him, words of caution, but mostly just joy in my heart.
I actually have no notes for him.
Mostly just joy in my heart.
Did you see the tweet about how, like, Florida coded he is?
Oh, interesting. Huh.
They were,
yeah.
It was like Raymond Fossoway, gets in a fight in a parking lot, throws in with a guy that he just met, fights his own cousin,
brags about breaking a rib,
gets shotgun married to, a stripper who is knocked up with someone else's baby.
Super well. Yeah. I
say that with love and respect to all of Florida. I didn't write the tweet. I just poorly communicated it. Yeah.
You just consumed it. Well, we will shortly talk about some more social media gems. Did you see Dexter's Instagram reel, Wig Watch Corner? He put on a wig and he went and pretended that he was a makeup artist. It's great stuff.
A little mustache.
This is absolutely wonderful.
It was so charming.
So much to get to. We're not here just to talk about social media, but it might come up again today. It just might. It might. Let's get to the opening snapshot.
Let's do it.
Joanna, if anybody did not watch Talk the Thrones, first of all, do that. Yeah. We had a blast. CR, I miss him already.
I know, Chris.
Sheesh.
We're back in June.
For his single favorite thing in the world. Kristen Cole. Genuinely.
Crispy Cole.
Crispy Cole. What did you think of episode 6, The Morrow? Give us your table-setting taste before we dive into the entire episode.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's great.
I thought it was fantastic. I have like a couple adaptation questions that we'll get to.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm just so pleased with the season.
I know.
And so even the things that I have questions about, I'm willing to sort of write it out and see what they have in mind for them as it ripples forward.
Yeah.
So it's not this is different from the book and I'm upset or nervous about it. It's just sort of like, interesting.
Right.
But yeah, I'm so glad that so many people have fallen in love with the show, have fallen in love with these characters. And it just feels like Thrones is like extremely fun again, which it's been a minute. So yeah.
Really agree. It's been such a joy not only to watch a truly, truly great adaptation and a truly great story and a truly great season of TV. To be able to share it together and feel that spark of excitement to be back in Westeros, I really miss that. That's just like kind of my favorite thing.
There's nothing better.
Yeah. So that's been awesome. And I'm like really grateful to this show for reigniting that shared experience. And I'm excited to talk about the finale. I am overjoyed beyond description that we get to be back with Dunk and Egg next year. Like the fact that they're making this show every year, at least for
now,
a little while. While they've got a couple things.
Did you see that quote where I was like, even if it takes us 2 years, we're not ending on a cliffhanger. So, we will have like each story is meant to feel like it is wrapped up.
Right.
So you're not, left.
You're not hot D in it.
That's
again
what I didn't want to say.
Tune in for our trailer breakdown.
You're not left with a bunch of armies marching towards nothing. So yeah,
great stuff. Mailbag. Opening snapshot mailbag before we get into the deep dive. What do you got?
Here's the most important thing.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm quite confidently wrong about things. And so last week when I said the King's Road was the Giant's Causeway in Ireland, that's a different beautiful location. This location is called the Dark Hedges. And here's the most important thing. Ireland,
Dark
your
Hedges.
naming
Sheesh.
is amazing. Dark Hedges and the Giant's Causeway. Anyway, I apologize to all of Ireland. What this means is I need to go to Ireland, I think. Maybe Spotify needs to send me for my own education. Who's to say?
Have you ever been?
I've never been. It's my people. Ireland are my people, and I've never been.
Have you been to Wales? Also your people?
Also my people? No.
Your middle name
I've
is
been
Welsh.
to Scotland.
Something I learned about you. I have been to Scotland. It's lovely there. Edinburgh.
England. Anyway. And we're going to go to Stratford this summer for the Mad King play, right? I'm just putting that energy out in the universe that's something we're going to do.
It's been 3.5 weeks since we just said on a podcast that we were going to England. Just we're manifesting,
I think we could do Oxford and Stratford in the same
I really
trip.
agree.
And Oxnard if we really play our cards right. Also, our listener Mackenzie sent in this Mackenzie who's has a academic background in linguistics. Sent in, I thought, a really interesting email about she's like, one thing I find interesting in A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, particularly when we were thinking about Targaryens and their flop era TM, that TM goes to one of our listeners, by the way, is the lack of the use of the Valyrian language. And I thought this was a really interesting email. I was wondering if you had any thoughts about this. She was pointing out that sort of in the history of cultures that have conquered other cultures, you often have these sort of transition periods into the local language, talking about like French into English after the Norman conquest and all this sort of stuff like that. So I'm curious if you have any thoughts about like, yes, this is from Dunk's POV, but occasionally we see Dunk sort of like eavesdropping on a couple Targ brothers talking and stuff like that. So what do you make of there being no High Valyrian in this season?
I certainly think that these Targs speak High Valyrian. And maybe it's more of an adaptive choice from Ira and the team that it didn't feel like quite the vibe given the really active decision, connected to the source material to root this in the
Here's what I think.
Small folk energy.
I think Arian,
for sure.
fluent.
No question.
Daeron,
well,
I'm not sure.
He's got a line or two at least that he tosses out at a brothel, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah. Arian, no question. The fact that obviously when we get to Thrones proper, building toward a great moment, like Dany saying Valyrian is my mother tongue. I think we should assume that all of the Targ royals have this in their bag, and it's just not necessarily been on display in this show. Will we be treated in a future season to Egg teaching Dunk, moving on from his geography lessons to teaching Dunk some High Valyrian? What do you think?
No.
You think Dunk will pick it up quickly?
He loves Duolingo, so I think he's gonna have a great time with it. I do think it's interesting, as we're talking about what makes a knight, the question, and then what makes a Targaryen a Targaryen.
Yeah.
We got another great email about that, which we can read a little bit later on. But I think thinking about these Targs, could it be a political choice not to speak a lot of Valyrian if they're trying to
out
sort
at
of
a place like Ashford, at least?
If they're there are Fossoways running around calling us incestuous aliens.
Yeah.
Should we not speak our alien language?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and at a moment where they're temporarily kind of putting the incestual marriage thing on hold, working to shore up the political alliances, marriages to families in Dorne and the Stormlands and the Dornish marches.
Tyrashi wife in this
that's
episode.
right.
Yeah.
Maybe not a moment necessarily to I like that to flaunt something that is really whereas in other stories, Hot D, we talked about this a lot, the forging of that bubble, this is a thing that we share and nobody around us, Daemon, Rhaenyra, et cetera, can access it. Wouldn't be the vibe out at Ashford Meadow. Are they speaking it in private?
Possibly. But I think also we talked about this a lot in terms of their shorter haircuts,
That's
know?
Right. Yeah.
Styles will come and go in Westeros, or they should probably a bit more than they have done on these shows.
Yeah.
But I like this idea of we don't have the long, elaborately braided platinum Valyrian.
We have no
hair.
dragons with whom to communicate in High Valyrian. No dragons to listen to our commands. Very sad.
Wouldn't it be funny if Arian just shouted Dracarys
At the puppet?
At the puppet, or
at the people
off
who
the
wanted
back
to
of
burn
his,
the puppet?
at the back of off the back of his horse.
Always comes back to puppets.
Yeah. I'm thinking about them always. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. And then last but not least, I do want to say, this is not an email, but I want to say, do you remember when we were talking about we hadn't seen the behind the scenes? They did 4, 5, and 6 behind the scenes together. So you can watch Night in the Making 4, 5, and 6 on YouTube or wherever you consume that content. And I told you my fondest wish was to see a helm perched on a camera so we could see that helm POV, and I got it, and it was just me at my computer doing the Leo pointing meme, and I was just extremely thrilled. So if you want to see a little helmet on a camera and how they got their Dunk helm POV shot, that exists for you.
As a bit of a helmet enthusiast myself, a lot of mini football helmets, a couple full-size football helmets, a lot of Lego helmets, as
a lot of Star Wars helmets.
A lot of Star Wars Lego helmets, some Marvel Lego helmets. Maybe it's something I'll try at home. Should I start making films?
Yes.
Specifically through the slit in a Lego helmet or a mini football helmet? What do you think?
It's the Legos or nothing. I think what you should do, and then we can talk about this episode of television, but I think what you should do is you should do influencer Lego building videos through the eye slit of a Lego helmet.
This is the year that
It's Legoception.
What I love that. I'm going to build, it feels right because it's a big Lord of the Rings anniversary
Rivendell?
year. Not sure if we've mentioned that before. I think it's time for me to finally build my Rivendell set. Yeah, because I have it. I've had it.
Let me know if I can come over and help.
That would be wonderful.
Is that something you would enjoy, or you're this is a me project?
Well, here's what I'll say. I'm inclined to say, sounds great. You've got my husband's number. Text him and get his opinion on this because he's had some feedback for me before when we have tried to do Legos
What if we
together.
did some parallel? I got my own Rivendell set, and we built our own sets near each other.
That was my suggestion to him at the time: was build your own fucking Lego.
Yep, that's how you said it. I believe that.
We've got all of these. Just pick your own and build it. We can do it next to each other. So yeah, it seems like we got there a little faster.
Yeah, let's
nice.
preserve this friendship.
Should we dive deep? Should we go scene by scene through this delightful finale of the morrow?
I'd love to.
Okay, everyone in the control room, we're going to need you guys to switch the cameras to a low vantage point and pump in some comedy jazz because we're opening with the Laughing Storm and his maester.
If memory serves, you sent an instructional video to the set that there should be no low camera angles.
That's true. That genuinely was an actual request.
You sent. Be consistent in your messaging.
But in this particular case, it really would have paid off. Really would have paid off. I don't know that I really can match, frankly, any of the energy that Lyonel's bringing. Certainly not the eyeliner or the earrings.
But you could.
But I could do the Baratheon, the Baratheon maester vibe, and you could be Lyonel. Works for me.
I believe it.
Because the jazz scoring and the musical accompaniment overall helps to contribute to the real tonal shift. We've come out of the horror of the end of episode 5, and then boom. There's a different energy right away. We're resetting, we're recalibrating, very true to the spirit of the show, where we have kind of maintained a consistent sensibility but moved in and out of tones inside of that. The music was a big part of that here. Anything broadly on the scoring or the musical accompaniments, you mentioned the needle drop that accompanied the end credits, anything on the music front that, since we're talking about music, you want to hit here before we get to the substance of the scene?
I should say our mutual friend Kim Renfro, who does the Cast of Kings podcast. Kim, when she worked at Insider, used to do incredible interviews with composers that I was always really jealous of because she can really pick out themes. So she's just been sending me these elaborate texts about especially the score that played during Baelor's entrance when the Game of Thrones theme went into Dan Romer's sort of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms theme, and she had all of these incredible piercing thoughts about that. I do not have that vocabulary
Nor do I.
At the ready. I just think the music in this season was incredible. I have some
wonderful
questions about 16 Tons, which closed out this episode. We got a lot of emails in defense of it. That's fine. It didn't bother me. It just I still don't know that I fully am convinced that thematically it made perfect sense to me. But I loved the opening music of this episode, and I think I dropped the BBC show, I think it was BBC, maybe ITV, or maybe Channel 4, show The Detectorists.
You can find out when we're in England this summer.
Sounds good.
No way to check.
Which features a great intro song by Johnny Flynn.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Jerome Flynn, of course, Bronn himself. But that sort of that up angle, that comedy up angle, that silent comedy of just sort of regarding Dunk and Dunk just battered and bruised in the Sir Arlan dying pose against the tree looking up at them. That silent exchange with everyone's calling it jazz. It did not register as jazz to me, but sure. The jazz that plays over the beginning of the episode, I just thought it was so funny.
It was great.
And just a great use of visual, silent comedy, score all together. Just put me in a real I'm watching a fun little British show that I love is what it felt like to me. We did get an email about Dan Romer's work in general, but is there
fantastic? Let's hear it.
Is there anything you wanted to
just think
share?
The music's great.
Okay.
I love it.
We got this email from Chris, who in addressing Dunk and Egg called them my tall knight and fellow bald king. So I thought that was really sweet. It always feels special to have something back in your life you thought you may have lost for good. This can be said both for Dunk's character, who lost one family but gained another, or for the Westeros world itself, which was clearly struggling after the throne's collapse to have a show without major skepticism and critical angst. I was overcome with this feeling as, quote, I suppose we could go anywhere, one of the tracks from this season, the track that closes out, which truly feels like a sister song to Go Find Out for Me, which is Dan Romer wrote for Luca, and Chris wrote earlier in this. I
love Luca.
I know. Earlier in the email
Luca.
about how much he loved the music from Luca and from Station 11, all of Dan Romer's work, right? So Chris describes, blared those trembling strings as Dunk traveled to a wide open road with his new family. I sent this email to reflect on just how much Romer's scores have meant to me. Go to a park with someone you love and listen to his music. His songs make the world feel so open with endless possibilities on the horizon. And I think that is exactly what the Game of Thrones world needed. Maybe Romer was the real prince who was promised.
Oh my God, what a lovely email.
I know. Go to a park and listen to Dan Romer's music. Listen to the Luca score. Listen listen to the Station 11 score, listen to the Night of the Seven Kings. And it's I think they just dropped it out this week, the official score. So you can fire it up anytime you want.
I just might.
You should.
I love nature.
You do.
I do. I love the idea of nature.
Yeah.
This is the year that I start actively communing with it.
Okay. You want to go on some hikes?
Do I want to go on some hikes? No. But do I think I'm at the point in my life where I should start going on some hikes?
Let's go on some hikes.
I've been getting served a lot of Instagram reels about the dangers of being sedentary.
hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com. As I'm moving to LA from Northern California, where I know all the hikes, but I don't know the hikes in LA,
look at this.
Send me your hiking recommendations, Hobbits and Dragons. I love a forested hike. Forests are harder to find in LA, but they do exist. So,
Yeah. You
can send me a desert hike
all around you up north.
It's true.
A desert hike is tough. A desert hike I'm not ready for.
Right, but there's trees here. There's
unless
water
we get
features.
the holy water umbrella hat that we
from the Buffy
came
pods.
up with and trademarked on the Buffy pods, and it could just be like a little mister to keep me cool. Something to think about. I wonder what the Baratheon Maester would recommend for a walk.
Do you think a mister hat would have helped Baelor's head stay intact?
Probably.
Couldn't have hurt.
Probably. Unfortunately, his brain fell to the floor. I still miss him. And because of that, he was not able to follow through on his pledge to send his maester to assist Dunk. The good news is Lyonel's maester is also here at Ashford Meadow. Well, the bad news is this guy is...
Dunk had some bandages on, so I think...
He had like a piece of cloth.
I think the Targaryen... I think it's possible the royal maester was there. And
you think someone went to get him and is like, Baelor dropped dead, but let's follow through on the pledge that after you finish with Maekar.
I guess my bigger question
maybe it was Steely Pate. Maybe he's like, I heard not to do oil to do wine.
Who dragged him to that tree and then just left him there alone? That's my question.
I really love... You mentioned the Arlan imagery parallel. I loved the detail of Dunk sitting there in the bloody shirt still, both because it is such a it is great visual shorthand to just remind us of the horror that he just went through and how little time has passed. But also it's like Egg's not with him. He doesn't have a squire to help clean him up.
His horses aren't even around, you know what I mean?
I mean, Raymond had Red to help him out of that armor, but
do you think Steely Pate dragged him there and just left him there and was like, it's best I be elsewhere, given how close I was. You know, I'm going to follow Tanzel off to Dorne. Best I not be
Pate's
here.
like, I was interested in that don't use oil update. I'm gonna hit the books. They're available until Maekar goes to sit at the desk. I'm going to see. I just have a lot
of questions about how Dunk got there and who left him there.
These are great questions.
Showed up.
He did.
And Lyonel, a capricious fellow, not someone to rely upon. But who showed up for Dunk at the tree?
He's here for Dunk, and he's here with an offer. He's also got some choice language for his maester. Begone witch. Will this be incorporated immediately into your everyday vocabulary moving forward?
Be stay witch. Be here witch. Yeah. Never be gone witch.
I love this about you. Witch stuff go always. Lyonel, there's a lot that he says that we need to parse. I do just feel compelled to note that he managed to get a few additional cunts in before the season ended.
And I respect that. I also respect the maester just sort of sage smudging. Mm-hmm. That's some very Northern California hippie stuff. Some sage, maybe some Palo Santo. I don't know what he was smudging, but it was...
Unfortunately, no Dr. Robbie-esque Purell on the hands before prodding and sniffing the wound. So that's worrying.
Snapped onto the wrist.
I like the lamp shading. You know, we had some fun talking about the sheer toll of the injuries that Dunk incurred last week, and everybody on the internet really, really loved that.
Really agreed with us.
The lamp shading.
But did you see the person who complimented our skincare routine?
No, I didn't.
On YouTube, we got a comment that was like, as if I'm going to let two chicks
you glowing like an angel.
As if I'm going to let I'm badly paraphrasing it. As if I'm going to let two chicks with a skincare routine tell me about medieval combat. And I was like, oh,
good
you
stuff.
think we look nice. Thanks.
There you go. Would you let this Baratheon maester tend to your wounds if you were at Ashford or really just anywhere?
It's strictly a no for the grubby fingers in the wound and then the smelling and the recoiling.
It's really gross.
It's really tough.
I do like that we got from him the acknowledgement that Dunk was on death's door. You know, he's like, the flesh is mortifying. These wounds are festering. This guy's going to die. Thought that was great.
But he's wrong.
He's wrong, but it was great to acknowledge. It was great that someone inside of this show acknowledged that Dunk should not be alive, but he is, and we're thrilled. Good for him. Good for him.
Are you going to respond to every single one of the comments that ridiculed us by saying told ya? No?
Won't be responding to a single comment.
No.
Now or ever.
True.
Lyonel, I gotta say, he showed up, as you noted. I wouldn't say that he brought the most robust display of emotional intelligence that I've ever witnessed.
Was it placing his hand on the wounded side in order to stand up that really did it for you?
That was like number 17 on the power rankings of I've got some notes for Lyonel here. I think just in general, the level of obliviousness to Dunk's physical state, but more importantly, his emotional state as Lyonel sits next to him, reclines, and says, man, I'm really wistful for that tourney. It was fucking great and I loved it.
That is really, I mean, yes.
Wild. Dunk is barely coaching. He's shattered.
Not his most emotionally intelligent moment. I do think, though, I thought it was so interesting to hear him talk about how boring he finds Storm's End.
Yes.
He's like, I don't want to go back home.
Yeah.
Sucks there.
And certainly this wasn't keeping with the way that he has spoken all season long about, you know, the longing for a foothold, a toehold in history, right? The way that he's talked about glory. Hasn't been a trial of 7 for 100 years or first ever joust. Men could not have devised such a joy. Like, it makes sense that this is the state that he's in after not only participating in this, but surviving it on the winning side, which validates that, like, if they could do it, like I could do it, way that he talked about the Stormlanders and the salt in the air. Like, this tracks for me completely as the perfect place to find Lyonel in terms of his just kind of like lust and longing for something that will become a part of songs. And I also think it's like, it felt to me, we're going to get to what he says about Baelor here when he makes his offer to Dunk and Baelor comes up. It felt to me like there's definitely a note of jealousy from Lyonel here too, because he's kind of like, I did this thing and I survived. Why aren't you talking about me? Baelor.
Marsha. But also, like, Dunk is getting the most famous person to come out of this tourney is Duncan the Tall.
No question.
You know?
And I mean, Raymond's going to get to raise Sir Manfred's bastard child, you know, without being any the wiser.
Honestly, if she's
Everyone
even pregnant at all,
something.
she might not even be pregnant.
It's entirely possible. So you mentioned the home is dull. Come to Storm's End, this offer. Hunt, hawk, sail, we'll be merry. I'm going to sharpen your iron, I bet. I'm going to sharpen your iron. It's overtly stated, you know, we'll have fun, we'll train, right? The offers, Dunk receives and rejects multiple offers that would have been the dream, like the pinnacle heading into the events of Ashford. This Lyonel offer and then later the Maekar offer. Both of them in some capacity say that they'll finish Dunk's training.
I'm like genuinely obsessed with this.
Yeah.
Maekar in the book, Maekar is from the book, but this
Yes.
Lyonel thing is additive, right?
Yeah.
And so to have two, you know, very well-established houses offer him a position and offer to complete his training, and Maekar has that line that we talked about in Talk of Thrones where he's like, I'm sure your Sir Arlan did his best.
Right.
But the way in which Dunk's whole journey this season ends with him, you know, determining that Arlan did do best and he doesn't want to learn the lessons that these Targaryens and Baratheons have to teach him.
Right.
Sir Arlan had the truth of what being a knight is, being a good person is, and the road is his teacher.
Yes.
And so to come from I'm nobody from nowhere showing up at the tourney and, oh, please, can someone senpai notice me and like take me under your wing?
I must risk all.
And I will, and then I'll be okay. To being like so self-confident. I mean, he's not a hugely self-confident person in general, but Duncan,
to be assured,
Duncan, this adaptation is more confident than Dunk in the book in a number of interactions. In this Maekar interaction that we get inside of this episode as well, there are like tweaks they made to make him a bit more self-assured. But to go from having Egg say like, why do you treat these royal lapdogs as if they're your betters?
Right.
To Dunk just internally, not saying the thing, but through his actions, realizing I'm the best that there is here to tell me what to do, or the ghost of Sir Arlan that's in my head, and not these other lords. And I just think that journey for him is is incredible because like so many things went wrong. And there are plenty of people who would come out the other side of this particular adventure saying like, I shouldn't have even tried.
Right.
Look what I did. And he certainly here, bruise and batter against the tree is like, I bring death and destruction wherever I go and harm. But like, that's not the sum total lesson that he took out of this.
Yeah, I think it's great too that we get a journey inside of just the finale that maps on and is an extension of and like a fulfillment of the journey across the entire season in that respect. Because even inside of the finale, he has to move toward the point of after the Daeron exchange, after the Arlan memory, to like the embrace for himself, but then to take it to that next degree of, and actually I should take Egg with me. Because that's going to be better for him too, is such a remarkable thing. Now, it does mean that he's not going to go to Tarth with Lyonel, at least not yet. How thrilled were you to get this Tarth mention?
Squeaked.
I mean, of all the, like, sometimes we like to say, this is here for me, but this is, like, really here for you. We've been talking about Brienne and Dunk. This is Brienne's home. Mentioned, Tarth.
I squeaked in a very cool way. It was totally fine. No, I loved this. And I also loved the, he swears, right? Others gelled me or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, the others fucking gelled me.
And I loved that because I read somewhere, I don't know if this is true, but I read somewhere that that's the first time we've heard the others called the others in a Game of Thrones on-screen adaptation, right? Because instead of White Walkers. And but in the book, like starting with Game of Thrones, this other the others take his eyes or all that, this is a thing that like Rob says or, old Nan will talk about the others or Bran or, et cetera, et cetera. And so that just felt like a real like ball knower moment from Ira inside of this episode.
I love it. Speaking of ball knower and Ira and his vision, we did get another piss or shit scene. And I think we knew we would. Because Lyonel and making this offer, come with me to Storm's End and I will love you like a brother. And if not, well, fuck you, I'll hate you like a brother. We got the second part of that while he's dick in hand.
Were you upset that it was like a discreet sort of turn away? You didn't get to see what he was working with there?
I respect each individual performer's choice for how to navigate nudity on screen and or wearing a prosthetic on screen.
Okay.
And listen, in a show where we saw Arlan piss with The Long Night, still think that was the best nominee of all the nominees we got. It almost wouldn't be fair to show anybody else taking a piss. Does Lyonel want Dunk to be his brother in the more Targaryen sense? An intimate sense? I'd say so. I think so. Shout out to you for inspiring with your cottage heated rivalry bit on Talk the Thrones, one of the great reels in the history of the Ringerverse Instagram. Just a delightful moment on the internet. That was wonderful. Maekar and Baelor. Egg and Arian. Baelor imploring Egg in episode 4. The Septons say we must love our brothers. This has been a through line of this season, this idea that these brotherly bonds exist on a knife's edge. And sometimes that is the person who you fear the most, hate the most, resent the most. Sometimes it is the person that you love the most, but often, and we love a found family story, the bond you choose, Dunk and Egg, Lyonel in his pitch here is like, that could be us, my guy. That found friendship can be stronger than the brotherly bond that you're born into.
And it's important to note that Lyonel Baratheon is not the head of his house right now. And so, what are his family dynamics? That's not something George has like super fleshed out.
We got some, I think, therapy couch insights based on his comments about whether or not your mother loves you last week, though.
Absolutely.
He told us something, even though he hasn't actually told us anything.
But I think that the idea of like bringing an ally back to Storm's End, for a 24/7 stag do, sounds really fun.
Dunk is, working toward the point that we were just discussing of really embracing the life of a hedge knight and the legacy of a hedge knight from Arlan. But right here, he's like, I shouldn't be around anyone. I shouldn't be around you and I shouldn't be around anyone. All I do is bring pain and suffering to those around me. That line, that idea, very much connected to what we've been discussing over the last couple weeks. Dunk as the stranger.
Right.
Dunk,
as we map the 7 deities onto various characters, something we were sort of holding back until Baelor's brain fell out of his head was whether or not that Dunk himself was acting the role of the stranger who brings death.
And the way that he is navigating in this episode subtly, also through active conversations, like saying to Raymond, just everyone blames me. The conversation with Maekar, obviously, which we're really excited to talk about. This guilt and the shame for what has happened. But something like this, just the fear here, right? There's the, oh my God, I'm carrying a heavy weight because of what happened and my role in it. And then there's the, I can't risk that. I can't risk harm befalling people I care about just by being around me. And this was an area where I felt like hitting the finale off of, we discussed a lot the merits of the flashback and what we learned and maybe some of the things in the flashback that didn't work quite as well. This was a line that I think hit harder, having understood a little bit more about the losses across Dunk's life and thinking about how something like Rafe, we still have some notes. How long has Dunk been maybe wondering about how his just proximity to people
causes damage?
Yeah. Sad. Lyonel's like, I got some other stuff for you to think about. I'm about to say some shocking shit. You thought it was astonishing to hear what Raymond said about the Tarks? Buckle up, buddy. Buckle up.
I'm about to call funeral pyre a roast.
That was really funny. And I say that as like the president of Baelor's fan club, but that did the roast
when
and
he's
the
like
cut.
The roast and then the cut too, and I was like, oh,
genuinely very good, quite rude, but very good. It's wild thing to say. Okay, here are some of the highlights from what Lyonel says here about Baelor and the Tarks.
He's been hitting the message boards pretty hard.
Oh yeah, some real reply guy energy from Lyonel here. You've done the realm of kindness. You'll see that one day. The only good dragon is a dead dragon. Overt, outright, treasonous statement. There's just no denying it. This is really bold, especially from a figure like Lyonel.
Some Targ racism, yeah.
I fought for you. Harding, Beesbury, the fucking apple boy. This is probably going to be incorporated into the pod logo. Harding, Beesbury, the fucking apple boy. That's just like the log line for the pod now.
It's funny because it's like Beesbury, obviously.
Sure.
The fucking apple boy, for sure. Our guy.
Yeah.
I'll say our for now.
Yeah.
Raymond Fossoway.
I love Raymond.
And I was like, does Harding belong in the logo? Then I'm like, green fucking boys is one of my favorite lines of the season. So, yeah.
Yeah, and again, we'd like to thank him for his dead body being so easy to spot among the carnage, thanks to his
very thoughtful,
very recognizable shield. We fought for you. Your prince fought for you against men sworn to protect him. He risked nothing. And the gods don't favor a fraud. I was like, how dare you, like physically moving forward on my couch listening to this. But, does he have some points? We'll talk about it. And then he says, there's a war coming. We could be a force, you and I. So let's hit the overt anti-Targ sentiment here for a second. And just this evolution of the relationship between the Targaryens and the Baratheons over time, because it's certainly interesting, especially paired with this war omen, to think about that. What did you make of just hearing the direct, very blunt and naked nature of what Lyonel said here?
Well, I think after incestuous aliens, like we should be braced for anyone to say anything out of pocket about a Targaryen or to see children at a funeral say dragon whore.
Wild stuff. Eat shit, Sarah. Possibly my favorite moment of the season. In response to that.
Questions.
Absolutely iconic. I'm like, that's just how I talk.
This
is great. Yeah, throwing rocks at Prince Aerion Targaryen's head out in the list fields. Like,
it's just out there in the water, flop era. And so, but the Baratheons, you did such a good job on Talk the Thrones, and if you want to run it back, I would eagerly hear it again, like tracking the Baratheon Targ closeness and enmity across, the centuries in Westeros. And what it pinged for me was Robert Baratheon talking to Ned Stark. And I think season 1, episode 2, I read the line out on Talk the Thrones, but just sort of like, there's a war coming, Ned, like, right? And so it's just that same Baratheon energy. You can talk about historical, but like Robert just wants a war because a war makes him feel important and strong and young. And however much trauma he's carrying about war and they don't tell you how they shit themselves and stuff like that. He also longs for the days of his warhammer. Yeah. And
God's I was strong. Yeah.
Lyonel's spoiling for a fight, right? Like he's not talking about a war that is for sure coming, though there is anti-Targ sentiment everywhere. Right. So like, and then as I think you pointed out really beautifully in Talk of Thrones, we saw Targ v. Targ in this very tourney. Right. You know what I mean? So inside the house, outside the house, just a few years removed from the first Blackfire Rebellion. There's a lot going on here. Yeah. But Lyonel is eager for a conflict.
The bloodlust is upon him. No question. Yeah. No question. I'm curious, how, it's interesting to think about how many other people who were at Ashford or just across the realm as word of what has happened here, word of Baelor's death, and the nature of it spreads, would fall into the, wow, what a noble, good, and right thing camp, and how many people would come out more in this place of the hubris and the entitlement to think that you could cheat the gods. I am always so interested in how characters in the world invoke that. And I think you're really right about Lyonel and the way that he seems, and again, very in keeping not only with this Baratheon legacy and future legacy. Mm-hmm. It's fun for us as Thrones fans to be able to apply events from the future timeline to just thinking about this house and its stature and how they think about, the Storm Kings of old. We had a lot of fun talking at the beginning of the season about Bro's just wearing a crown. And that's a brazen act. It is, and it's one thing to incorporate the antlers into your helm of your armor, but to sit at your banquet in a crown is just a wild thing.
Did you see Daniel Ings talking about how heavy the helmet was, the horn helmet?
And it was just your head was
dragging his head back
you gotta
constantly.
Gotta do the F1 style training. They do these neck exercises because of the G-force of driving, because the F1 car is open. I mean, I'm sure even if it were closed, the G-force would be, I don't know, in Top Gun.
You know who I bet could handle the G-force?
Who?
The Pilates moms who are really concerned about their neck exercises.
Love knowing this.
I would like to see a Pilates mom take on the F1.
You going to watch Drive to Survive this weekend?
No.
Okay, I'm going to text you again and ask you tomorrow and then the next day, and then I'm going to keep asking.
But I will watch Survivor, and so you are an influence on me.
Great. That's all I need, honestly. Season 50, here we go. So yeah, you mentioned this. I think just the if anyone didn't watch Talk of Thrones, I think the Robert point is the most crucial one because of the associations that we're bringing.
No, but
it's interesting to think about
the history.
Orys Baratheon, the founder of this house, who slew Argilac in this famous moment in Aegon's conquest, and Orys as the bastard half-brother, rumored, but kind of bastard half-brother.
Yeah.
That's how we get to always think and talk about this drop of Targ blood that makes its way into the Baratheon house, which is certainly also a factor here.
Which legitimizes Robert's claim.
Yeah, well, we've got this fancy blood too. First hand to the king, so there's this real entrenchment in just the established order of how the kingdoms would be ruled, but also an affection and they're best friends, right? A depth of connection there. You have Robert all the way at the other end of this is the figure who, for all of these very meaningful and personal reasons, but also all of the reasons that you mentioned, Rhaegar, Lyanna, everything, ended 3 centuries of rule. The Targaryen dynasty lasted 3 centuries, so that's no joke. But then it's what are the moments along the way? And we're obviously not going to spoil things that we have not gotten to in House of the Dragon yet, but we've already seen the Baratheons be deployed inside of through 2 seasons of House of the Dragon as a house that's still, you're picking between Targs, but still a shifting of allegiance, a controversial moment and choice that led to one of these seismic ripples in the dance.
I think that Lyonel Baratheon would hate Boros and Borman Baratheon.
Who doesn't? To be fair, who doesn't? People who hate them. Lucerys.
Lyonel, we have some notes, but as far as the Baratheons we've met, he's top
Lionel's
of my
great.
list.
I love Lyonel, one of the most entertaining characters in the history of television. I feel wounded by some of what he said here, but I love to watch him, and I would happily just spend every week with him on a television show. I can't decide if I want the Lyonel spinoff or the Raymond Red spinoff more. They both would be wonderful.
New Barrel spinoff, please. But
yeah,
Daniel Ings has said, I've been in the wikis, so I know that I could come back in a future season of this show.
I'm very excited to see how they figure out how quickly to get him back in the mix.
I would be shocked if we didn't see him soon.
And on the War Omen front, the idea of the susceptibility of the Targaryens right now.
Flop era.
I mean, like you said, Blackfire just not that long ago, 13 years. So who from outside or inside is looking and saying, this is a moment. This is a moment to try to pounce. Fascinating stuff. What about this idea of the way that he's speaking about Baelor acting dishonorably? What do you make of this?
I don't want to offend you.
Tell me. No, not at all.
As Queen Bee of the Baelor fan club, but
let's hear it.
I mean, he's not incorrect that Baelor was like, hey man, if I fight on our side, then the Kingsguard can't touch me. You know, that there were some
no question
tactics going on. But in terms of like
definitely
which Targaryen is enacting an injustice, Baelor's way down the list, you know? I don't think we should be like that worried about it.
Listen, I think the points are valid. I think it's a just free exchange of ideas. Yeah. And as we discussed, because we kind of talked about this last week, given the like prejudgment issued by a couple members of Baelor's side before the trial began, which was interesting. Hubris on display, no question. Here's my take. You ready for this? Don't let the evil people win. They're not the only ones who get to look for a fucking edge.
When they go low, we go lower.
Come on. Why is it shameful or an affront to the gods or dishonorable to say, I'm going to ensure or work hard to look for an edge and a way to say, I'm going to find the path to victory. Victory I am pursuing because it is what is right and what is noble and what is just and what is good.
Do you know how one should respond to a critique? I think you should give it the old Daeron Targaryen shrug. The old, what are you doing here? You're responsible for these people's death. Baelor, you're suggesting something that kind of flouts the rules of chivalry.
Here's what Baelor could have done if he were alive, but I'm going to do it for him because his brain fell to the floor.
His brain is out of his head, baby.
Gonna quote his own brother, Maekar. Have you heard of him, lads? One of the things that he says
Mika?
Mika! I was sad that we didn't get any more Plumber and we didn't get any more of Mika, Herald guy. I know, I miss him.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
He could have done something in the finale.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Help
a lot of
Rowan
spitting,
and Raymond toss over their night soil piss pot. Why not?
Okay, great.
Something for everyone.
You're going to quote Mika.
Mika. It may be that the gods have a taste for cruel japes, or perhaps there are no gods. Perhaps none of this had any meaning, which, again, we talked about last week, but I do think this is always an interesting litmus test for characters in the world. And just in discussing it, like, are you inclined to see some sort of divine judgment, or is part of the point, as you perceive it, that in George's world, as is often the case in the real world, horrible things happen all the time, even to good people who try to do the right thing, which is heavy shit to carry on the George front. You shared this on TTT. Talk to Thrones.
Yeah. Thanks for translating.
One thing that is undeniable is the consequence of this moment. The butterfly effect, the dragon wing effect, the ripples. This is from a Penguin Random House conversation in 2022. So recently-ish.
Q&A.
And George was asked about moments that really radically impacted the history of Westeros, the history of the realm. There are a couple of them, he said. I think in the Hedge Knight, the first Dunk and Egg story, the death of Baelor Breakspear, who was the heir. Next in line to the throne, and I think would have been a very strong and very competent king who dies to defend the honor of an insignificant Hedge Knight. Ellipses. How is Westeros history different if Baelor does not die? That would be very significant. So I would just like to reread one line. And I think would have been a very strong and very competent king, so Lyonel can eat shit, just like Sarah, playing the game on the floor. You know who else is appalled by Lionel's words? Dunk, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's shaken by this. And, of course,
Dunk is applied to be treasurer of your Baelor fan club.
I don't know if I want Dunk handling the money. Yeah. What would be a better cabinet position for Dunk?
He's spent it all on puppets, and I think you know that to be true.
Dunk can be like my minister of defense. You spend it all on puppets. I do love a puppet show, though. Secretary of the Arts, that could be Egg. You know, I think.
Dunk attends a meeting. He's like, I brought you all these puppets. And you're like, where are the coffers? He's like, the coffers are empty.
Empty. They're fucking empty.
They're full of puppets.
Yeah. But then I would ask, why are they empty? And he'd say, I spent my last couple coppers on some oats and apples for Sweetfoot. And I'd say, okay.
I also hammered a few into a tree. Don't worry about it.
Dunk swore to be Baelor's man, right? And it was beautiful. And he grew up hearing these stories from Arlan about Baelor's chivalry, and then he got to see, and this is a rare thing in life, genuinely, he got to see the merit of those words, right? And does that mean that every single thing Baelor did is pure? But no, as we've talked about, would that be interesting? No. Lyonel.
You started veering like real Nurse Dana in that moment.
Literally the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. She's my fucking queen. She's the best.
This isn't Philly. All right, let's.
This is not Philly. Dunk's not finished with his hard conversations, right? He's carrying a lot of guilt. He knows that believes he owes something more than this to Baelor's memory. And so he is inclined to incline. Watching the funeral, and then he's going to make a visit. So as you noted, we cut from the word roast to the funeral pyre, wild stuff. Small crowd. But we would be remiss if we did not note that among the assembled, Hot Rolly, he's here. Got to see him once more with his helmet off. Now, were you going to mention a more important character? Maybe.
No, I was going to say the Kingsguard are showing up.
Yeah.
Crab Nepo Baby.
Yeah.
And Hot Rolly, you call them.
Yeah.
Are at both funerals.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit audacious that they went to the Beesbury Harding funeral, given that they were directly involved in the death of the Humphreys.
Let me just throw this out there. That's just like a communal tent. That's just like a market tent. You know?
No, that was the funeral. That was a wake was
Don't
happening.
Have your wake in a public square.
And they were like,
Don't have your wake in a public square.
They were like, we heard there was an open bar, so we're going to come to the funeral of the guys that we put in the ground.
Plenty of space in Ashford Meadow for a more private accommodation.
There's only 2 of them, though, because good old Willem Wild had to be carried off the field. So
yeah, he's nursing some injuries.
I don't know.
He got to
I
say,
don't know what quality of maester is attending to him, but
I mean,
he's not making it to the funerals.
How do you think his wounds smell?
This is a very small crowd. It was interesting to compare who's here in this shot versus the concept art that they put in the behind the scenes. It was a much bigger crowd in that. So I don't know if it was budgetary or they made an artistic decision of like, but like Lord Ashford isn't there. Like there's a number of people who aren't there.
Nor should he
like,
be.
Manfred Dondarrion is there because he's related to the Targaryens, but like where's everyone else putting in their respects?
Yeah. I mean,
like it's very weird that Lord Ashford isn't there. It's weird that like Leah Longthorn isn't there. Like there's a number of conspicuous absences.
And you can then it leaves it to us to kind of like interpret that. Yeah. Is it the choice of the family to make this a small and private affair? Or is it a reflection of the
flop era,
the state of play? If it is fascinating,
flop era, or we're all uncomfortable that we were involved in this. Lord Ashford's like, they're gonna kill me if I go. I'm just gonna stay home.
Gwen, get out there! Yeah. We need Anne Ashford to have a line in the finale. I was thinking of little baby Baelon, heir for a day, his funeral scene at the beginning of Hot D season 1, where famously Rhaenyra called forth Syrax and said Dracarys in a very fancy way.
Dracarys.
Yes. Just so. Just so.
Not quite, but sure.
And a dragon breathed flame down onto the pyre. And here they're like torch to wood. It's just a great reminder of where they are. It is.
Flop era. I would like to paint a picture for you.
Please.
Okay, so Syrax is obviously not available.
No.
No living dragon is available. They're all dead.
Sad.
But there are puppets.
Oh my God. You think they should have brought out the tattered and decimated puppet that sparked this ruinous affair
and then just
had a little
some
plume
pollen,
of flame.
Get the pollen ready.
Could have worked.
If you're looking for drama, have you thought about puppets? As you know, I'm always thinking about puppets.
It's a great idea. I wonder if like Arian would have been able to appreciate that from his sickbed, or if he just would have been offended to have the puppet invoked in any form.
That guy is on Mars thanks to Milk of the Poppy.
He
is not paying attention.
A lot of Milk of the
Can
Poppy.
I read this quote that you have here in the notes here, which I love? Quote, other great houses might choose to bury their dead in the dark earth or sink them in the cold green sea, but the Targaryens were the blood of the dragon and their ends were writ in flame.
Writ in flame is so good.
He had been the finest knight of his age.
Hell yeah.
And some argued that he should have gone to face the dark clad in mail and plate, a sword in his hand. In the end, though, his royal father's wishes prevailed and Daeron II had a peaceable nature. So what is informed here is not just that like Targaryens, puppet or no, need fire. They want to burn the bodies. Okay, great. But the timeline's a little bit different in the novella.
Yeah.
In that there's like time, I guess, to send a raven to Daeron II to say, hey, what should Baelor Brightspear wear on his funeral pyre?
Yeah.
And he's
like, well, how about just like a little bit of gold plating around the
like
gaping head wound?
a real decorative visor situation, please. So I thought that was interesting, right? Because like there's some random
time has passed because like Dunk's eyes
not much.
ever so slightly less swollen, but it's still swollen shut, and he's in his bloody shirt.
I would say like 3 days max.
Yeah.
There's some rando targs there, but I don't think they had time to like ship any targs in. All of those people had to have already been at Ashford Meadow. Right. So yeah,
why not take Baelor all the way back?
Well, maybe they take the ashes back and do some fun targy stuff with the ashes.
Can't believe this guy got burned by a wooden torch at fucking Ashford Meadow.
When it could have been a puppet.
Exactly what I meant. After the funeral, Dunk goes over to Valar. Valar, the young prince, who is now heir to the Iron Throne.
Okay, can I clarify something really quickly? Because we actually got a couple emails about this. People were confused why Maekar wasn't the next in line. And so just some refresher on the family tree and just how the line of succession works, right? So to use a modern example, if King Charles had died before Queen Elizabeth died, it would have been William next in line, not one. I think it would be Anne, right? Like not one of Charles's siblings. It goes like directly down the firstborn. Yes. I know you know this. I'm just saying this. People don't know. So if William died before Charles dies, it's not Harry, it's George, like William's son, right? So Baelor died, it's Valar, his son is next in line. And not only that, but there's a couple other brothers before you even get to Maekar, right? So Baelor and then his firstborn is next in line, and should Valar have a kid, it would be his firstborn, et cetera, et cetera. Right. Probably firstborn male, because we learned some things from The Realm's Not Ready.
Yes, exactly. And so that it's possible, especially so close to Hot D, that is part of what people are bumping on, because Rhaenys is the queen who never was. She is the daughter of the original heir, Aemon. So the reason that she, it's a little different in the text in the show, but that's because she was a woman and not because of that being the proper line. So through that Baelor line, and then to the other brothers, should it go that way? Aerys, not Maekar. Maekar's the fourth bro. Baby bro. Serious question for you. The stripe, because Valar is sitting kind of in profile, the stripe of gray hair. Silver Targ hair. We get to see the little bit. He's got Baelor's brown hair, but then he's got a little silver signature Targ popping through. Who wore it better on the stripe of gray hair front? Valar, the young prince, or yours truly?
You don't have that much gray in your, and should you, it would look, I've seen it. I know. I stare at you all the time. I think it looks beautiful and distinguished. But you're not like Bonnie Raitt over there. Like you don't have like a ton of, you'll get there. Yeah. I'll let you know when you get there, and then we can do a who wore it better. But for right now, it's Valar who's like really rocking the silver.
I love it. I love it. He's in a mood. He's grieving, obviously, his father. And I would say he's not celebrating the fact that he is now the heir. He's struggling with the loss of his father, but also, and the injustice of it, certainly based on what he says to Dunk, but a little bit, I think, based on what he says about the armor here. He died in my armor. Plenty of sons have died in their father's armor. How many fathers have died in their sons? Which is a nice way to remind us, the viewer, that this was not supposed to happen. Baelor wasn't supposed to fight. He didn't even have his own armor. He had to borrow his kids. Got a little bit from Valar of the, I am ashamed that he was out there in my armor and I did not go out there.
I should have fought, perhaps.
Yeah, which is a nice little element to get from him. Yes. Not a character we've spent a ton of time with.
Correct.
And then he says he was still young. He had it in him to be a great king. Preach. The greatest since Aegon the Dragon. Why would the gods take him and leave you? That's where Valar loses me. I don't know why you built an
entire straw man out of one Baratheon bloviating by a creek.
I just it's
I don't think there's anyone out there in the listenership who's like,
it's outrageous, and someone
what a
must
joke.
Challenge Lyonel. Okay. God damn it. So the second thing that Valar says, though, why would the gods take him and leave you, is heart-wrenching. And Dunk says, I've wondered the same thing. Here is a beautiful passage from the book. He had no answer for Valar, nor for the questions he asked himself. The maesters and the boiling wine had done their work, and his wound was healing cleanly, though there would be a deep, puckered scar between his left arm and his nipple. He could not see the wound without thinking of Baelor. He saved me once with his sword and once with a word, even though he was a dead man as he stood there. The world made no sense. When a great prince died, so a hedge knight might live, Dunk sat beneath his elm and stared morosely at his foot. I always love that. Just this reflection. Yeah. We will definitely come back to the foot. I think that it takes a lot of courage for Dunk to do what he does here and go and seek out Valar. It's on my mind based on what Dunk says to Daeron later, because he basically gives Daeron a version of what Valar gives him here, which is like, how dare you show your face? This is your fault. And it's not Dunk's fault. The way that Daeron actually is complicit because of his lie, which allowed Arianne to make the Trial of Seven pitch.
To be fair.
But it's like, maybe Daeron's there as part of his coping mechanism.
No, but to be fair.
To bees.
Dunk is there, like, hobbling towards the crown prince, the heir to the throne, to offer his condolences.
Yes.
Daeron's there to get shit-faced.
And to shrug. And to shrug, yeah.
To anesthetize the wound that he got from his own horse stepping on him.
Wild stuff. He looks wonderful. It's a real glow up after the trial.
But he's not there to make amends.
No, certainly not. I think it's interesting to think about especially because Dunk's like having no shame. I think Daeron has, in some respects, no shame, and in other respects, he's really burdened by his shame.
Marinating in shame. Yeah.
I think with Dunk, undeniably, he is not looking for, not only is he not looking for absolution, he's trying to express his regrets and his sympathies, and he's trying to understand. He's trying to process how this could be the outcome, how this could be something that the gods or anyone else thought was just. I did like that. I really like that Lyonel moment when, after the gods don't favor a fraud, when Dunk's like, why do they favor me? And Lionel's like, that's not favor, that's mockery.
No, but like, I thought Peter Claffey's delivery of that, of like, why the gods favor me.
Good.
And we got several emails about, I think I said I'm sure I said on Talk the Thrones, like, we get confirmation that Dunk was not knighted. That is not how the people who wrote that scene have decided it means, and that's fine. And it's like, I'm not upset if it's ambiguous. Sure. I think it's preposterous that it's ambiguous, but I'm not upset about that. But there's just so many moments because it's like a fraud. Then why would, he considers himself a fraud. Why does he consider himself a fraud? Because he's not a knight. Like, he is just so clearly not a knight. Yeah. But if you guys want to keep the question mark in the air, then that's fine.
We love a healthy debate. I was very surprised by that framing. Very surprised.
Because they even confirmed that this is like the night he died. The storm is breaking.
Yeah, it's the setting from his buried. Wounds. He's got the...
And then Ira Parker's like, but he could have got up right after he said that and knighted him.
Yeah. Listen, if he got up, here's what I hope, genuinely. He used his final breath to say, dig that grave at least 1 foot deeper.
You've seen what I'm working with here. It's going to take a lot of inches to bury me. Okay.
Oh my God. Mr. and Mrs. Fossoway of the Green Apple Fossoways.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I loved this sequence before Raymond calls out to him.
Yeah.
Dunk.
From his shitty little tent in the distance.
But like before that, we see all these people watching Duncan. And we've been talking all season about like what it means for someone to look at Dunk. Yeah. Usually it's like a steely pate or a plumber or a red or just someone who's just like taking another look at this guy who's like quite unusual. But now he's just burdened with like a much larger set of expectations and reputations and whispers and rumors that Maekar, of course, will talk to him about. Yeah. And I just loved it. Really ran the gamut of like how people were looking at him.
Yes.
But he does not have the luxury of moving through the world incognito anymore.
Right. No more.
He was always like quite tall, so it's not like he like cut a really sneaky figure through the world. But now it's just sort of like that's Duncan the Tall. Like he's already famous.
Good luck to him and Egg.
Being incognito on the road.
I've just got some questions.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I like that there are the people who seem to be looking at him through the eyes of like, you're a famous figure of myth now, and I got to see it. How cool.
I was there.
Look at this thing you did. And then there are definitely people who are like, I blame you for this. And you can feel it all very quickly. And then when these whispers are invoked by Maekar. We've already gotten to feel the truth of that in a very quick and effective way. And Dunk, he's sensing that too. He's feeling it. You can feel when people are looking at you as you walk past. He's already had this exchange with Valar. He's had this exchange with Lyonel. He's sat for how many days? We don't know, rotting against his elm. He's got a lot on his mind, a lot that he's working through, and he unburdens himself to Rayman. He says, everyone blames me for what happened here. And Rayman, good friend, ride or die, says, I don't. And then gives him one of the longest hugs that I've ever seen. And I say this as someone who loves a long hug. I once suffered a rib contusion hugging Sean Fennessy for too long.
I just heard that story very recently.
Yeah.
Last week.
The day that the Ringer website launched in 2016, wrapped my arms around him and hugged and hugged and hugged. And I just... right here. Sometimes I still feel like it's like I'm like Frodo.
I thought the way you told me it was like he hugged you too hard and broke you.
No, you feel like very rigidly sat there.
Oh,
and I had to
flung
squeeze.
Yourself at him and squoze him, and in the squeezing, popped.
I had to go to urgent care the next day.
Rib,
I was in agony.
No, I just really like that Raymond is just committed to the bit and wants to keep hugging. And Doug's like, "Are we
done yet?
Are we done yet?
Are we done yet?
Is this
Are
over?
we done yet?" Well, Raymond, very recently has learned the pleasures of physical contact.
Yeah, a nice squeeze. Indeed. Yeah. So listen, Raymond introduces his new branding.
He does.
The green apple.
Yeah. Thought that the sigil looked like a green pepper.
Nope. It looks beautiful. It
looked like a green pepper. It's a bell pepper, which I like a bell pepper better than a green apple.
And I think what's wild, I think we alluded to this, but like what's wild in the book is that he gets that painting done, and he was carrying the shield in the tourney.
Yeah.
But in the book, he's like, he gets knighted and he's like, BRB.
Got some arts and crafts to do.
Gets the new sigil painted. Yeah. I don't know who did it for him because Tencel is already fucked off out of town.
Yeah.
So I guess he did it himself. Who's to say? Yeah. But the green apple Fossoways are born here in this very moment.
It's wonderful. And they're going to stick around, man.
The green apple Fossoways of New Barrel.
Yeah.
They're a thing.
New Barrel is excellent branding. Cider Hall also excellent.
Yeah. The red apple Fossoways of Cider Hall suck.
Stefan is...
The green apple Fossoways of
Stefan
New
sucks.
Barrel.
I agree.
Rule.
I agree.
And this
doesn't mean a green apple tastes good, but I agree.
This red twist is so good. This is not in the book at all. Red is not even like a character in the novella. We've already discussed that a couple times.
Because there are almost no women. Yep.
Correct. And so think of how many lines we got from women in this episode. Red says, Rowan, if you prefer, says so much. Gwyn has a line. We're really doing it here. Woke 2.0 here at Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
And Red, like, the way that she's communicating to Dunk with glances and little looks, wonderful stuff. Like, don't
solidarity.
Spill. Yeah, yes, exactly. Shout out to Red. She saw her opportunity here and she took it and she landed herself a lovely guy. Good for them. Good for them.
I love this dynamic.
It's wonderful.
She's way smarter than him.
I mean, she was right to call out the apples. She is
extremely hot.
She looks great.
I think he's going to be happy. He's like very nice, has a bunch of money.
Yeah.
She's married now.
Yeah.
I think she's going to treat him well. I think he's going to treat her like a princess. And I think it's just going to be a great marriage. I genuinely think
I'm thrilled
this is going to be a great marriage. And I think it's a victimless crime. I don't think it's a problem that
I think that it is a little bit of a shame that Sweet Raymond is the only person in the realm who knows less about sex than Dunk. Cider Hall, not strong on the sex ed front, does not understand how long it takes to really anything about the female anatomy.
Zero.
Or the process of impregnating a woman. So I feel a little bit bad for him that he's, I guess, raising Sir Manfred Dundarian's
possibly. If she's pregnant at all,
spawn without realizing
probably Manfred Dundarian. But like he's just gonna
he'll be a great dad.
He's gonna be a great dad.
He'll
he's
be
gonna
a
love
great
that
dad.
kid, and
it
won't matter.
And the kid will be better off with Raymond than with fucking Sir Manfred. No
and
question.
Listen, if it comes out a redhead, it's okay because she has red hair and he never needs to know that it's from the Dundarian side of the family.
Exactly right. Just for the sheer pleasure of it, let's watch this exchange.
Love to.
I had no squire to see to my wounds. And she offered to help me out my armour and... Anyway, she said I've got her with child now, so I figured we ought to get married.
Feels like a boy.
It's just an instantly iconic scene.
Peter.
That's so good.
Peter's reaction is so funny. Dunk's reaction is so funny. Her being like, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Like, you've never met me.
Nice to meet
I'm
you.
Lady Rowan.
Quick on the uptake, Dunk.
Rowan's interesting. You mentioned that there's
I am baffled by this. I am.
The actress's name is Rowan.
Yeah.
Rowan Robinson, no relation. Wish there was, because she's amazing. But Rowan Robinson is the actress, so they just gave her that name. But there is a prominent, very prominent character in season 2 who has a similar name.
Very similar. Spelled differently, but very similar. It's odd. Could have gone with any other name. But
Probably,
they didn't.
but they didn't. Do you think that the implication is when she's saying her name is Lady Rowan? Do you think the implication is that she's from House Rowan? Like that's what she's trying to pull one over? That's a bigger con job. That's an established house in the Reach. So
that also then is a connection to events to come. That would be
correct.
That would be interesting. It's entirely possible.
But
maybe Raymond just used the performer's name by mistake, and they're like, let's just keep it. What if it's that?
Why try to do another
What if it's
take?
that?
No second
Like, that
takes.
was fucking perfect.
I just love this. I'm so happy for them. I wish them
just
well.
absolutely wonderful.
Mazel.
I also think Green Apple, Red Apple, Apple Wars, Eternal, but all of that aside, it is lovely to see the new sigil because it connects to Dunk and his device and this idea we've been talking about all season of how something
Branding.
like, yes, lean into the branding, but like capture something about the path that you are going to forge for yourself. Like Raymond having his version of that is just really cool.
Well, also like Red renaming herself like Lady Rowan, like Duncan the Tall. She's just sort of like, I've decided I'm Lady Rowan. Yeah. Now I'm Lady Fossoway.
And Raymond doesn't fucking know any better or how to fact check. And frankly, if he did, he probably wouldn't care because just time of his life. Time of his life.
He's gonna have a great life. I feel like the cider empire is gonna thrive under her. Like
Entrepreneurial spirit. That's clear.
Absolutely.
That's clear.
Yeah.
I love a
You
cider.
make her treasurer of your Baelor Breaks Riffing
Without hesitation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, Dunk is not right for that role, but I think Red would be sensational.
Girl boss.
Sensational.
Girl bossing.
Maybe Gwyn can come in and work on social media.
Sure.
Maekar summons Dunk. Dunk is pulled away from this beautiful moment with Rowan and Raymond. The soldiers, Maekar's riders emerge. And Raymond, again, he's just like ride or die till the end. He's like, you're not going to take my guy. They could cut him down in a second.
He's about to fight them. Oh, one last thing I want to say before we leave the Fossoways, and then we'll come back to them, obviously. But like,
boy, will we.
She's wearing his shirt. It's so cute.
Shocking and bold of you to invoke the shirt that she's wearing, given that it is a Red Apple shirt.
Well, they're going to burn it when they get back to New Barrel. But I just think that's so cute. She's just like dressed in his tunic, like, dumping some piss.
Yep. Romance is real.
Okay, Maekar coming to get
real.
Maekar sending soldiers to get Dunk. This is a change I don't 1,000,000% love from the book, because in the book, Maekar comes to the tree where Dunk is like, and I like that. That's like a humbling gesture from Maekar to come out to the tree. Instead, he summons him. Dunk. Do you think
he's like, there's just been too much talk of itchy assholes by this here elm for me to?
He has no way to know it, but I have to say he disrespects trees later, and I just hope that Tolkien didn't hear him do it. He's like, what does your tree have to say about that, Dunk? And I'm like, don't disrespect the trees. The Lorax will have a problem. Tolkien has a problem. I have a problem.
The professor is always welcome, so he probably could sense it.
Mika.
He's sitting at a desk made of wood, a wood that came from a tree.
Reading a book made of wood that came from the tree.
Chris Ryan-esque transition right there. Learn from the best.
He's reading a book. I don't know if they're Baelor's books or Lord Ashford's books. Like,
yeah, but
unclear.
Do you think it's the same book that Baelor was last reading? So that this is like, because I love the kind of little subtle head shake. Yeah, almost like he's trying to understand why Baelor did this
where
thing.
The dumb trial of seven came from this stupid fucking book. What I really love that they talked about on the behind the scenes is that they like wanted to. This is the same room. This is a Prince of the Blood and Dunk once again, etc. But instead of warm candlelight, we're in sort of cold gray dawn sort of light, and that it just should feel cold and bereft of light and life. Because
you can't say bereft on a Night of the Seven Kingdoms podcast without us thinking about Alice of Three Fingers born bereft of thumb. Sorry, it's just like Pavlovian for me now.
Yeah, we're just gonna add it.
Thumb.
We're just gonna add it to your Thrones Tourette's.
Exactly.
Just like keep a list.
Bone bereft of thumb. Just
I
can't
was
help
making a very emotional
You were.
point.
I'm so sorry. It's just like I couldn't help
about
it.
the absence of your guy Baelor and how he took all
Yeah.
the light with him when he left.
You know what I love about that especially is like toward the end of the scene, the framing changes and Dunk moves in front of the natural light. And so the shadow is all around him, but there's this little beam just on Dunk. Beautiful stuff. Maekar, we're going to get to Baelor and we're going to get to Egg, but he starts with Arian. He says, I'm sending him to the east. A few years in the free cities may change him for the better. Dunk does not respond to this because what would he say? But in the book, we're in his head and here's what he thinks. Dunk had never been to the free cities, so he did not know what to say to that. He was pleased that Arian was gone from the Seven Kingdoms and hoped he never came back. But that was not a thing you told a father of his son. Love this line.
So this is like, you know, this speaks to sort of some like reticence and some you know, minding his tongue from Dunk, which later when he's telling Maekar about Arian and Daeron, like in the book he has to be coerced into saying that. Right? Maekar's like, go on, say it. What do you want to say? And in this show he just comes out and say it, and that is that thing we've been seeing all season from Dunk, where he's just a little brasher and a little bolder.
Yeah. And structurally, like, splitting their conversation over two scenes so that more can happen in between for Dunk allows that to feel like a really authentic journey for him.
Yeah, but it also just feels like all
And for
season
us,
they've been making him a bit more audacious. Also, I think it's like, so as someone who, and I don't look great in this story because I'm the Aryan Targaryen situation. But when I was a like problem teenager, my parents sent me to Italy for the summer to like get my head on straight. Disgusting. But that was just sort of like,
did it work?
Sure. I was totally fixed. But like that was punishment. I was punished by going to Italy when like other 18-year-olds would be like, dying to go. I was grateful and thrilled to be there, but it was just sort of like when I talk to people about that is like how my parents punished me for being a rotten teenager. They're like, that's gross, right? And so for Maekar to say, I'm sending him to the free cities as punishment when this was like Rafe's like fondest dream
to escape.
They scrimped and they saved and they struggled and all she wanted to do was go to the free cities, and this is a punishment for a rich fuckboy. The universe isn't fair.
No, it's not. But how do you think it'll go for Arian? Stay tuned. We'll talk about it in the spoiler section.
Our listener Michael said, a small moment, but I really loved Maekar getting up and limping in front of Duncan. It's one thing to see Lyonel and Raymond limp, but to have and Michael wrote Crown Prince. He's not the Crown Prince. But to have a Prince of the Blood show that weakness and shared trauma with Duncan speaks a lot about his state of mind. He's not trying to embody power at that point. He's just a grieving brother and sad dad thinking about what went wrong.
I love that. I think in general, I mean, we talked on Talk the Thrones about just this performance from Sam Sproul in this episode is really wonderful. I thought that all of the Maekar scenes were great and the thickness of the emotion. But like, you know, he still has some sassy moments in these conversations, which we'll get to. But there is like, especially here, this opening beat in place that we find him. It's like the sarcastic quality that has defined our time with him this season, the kind of like caustic tone. It's just, it's the grief, but it's like the kind of quiet, disbelieving stillness that we find him in. Like, I lost my brother who, despite everything I love, and also I am my role in this, my role because of my children, but my role in my hand directly. Like, it's such a human place to find him, and the things that he's about to say are so human. And I like that, like, opening with this Aryan information is for us as readers and viewers so that we understand, but it feels too like it's kind of like the closest he would ever deign to get to an apology. This is the closest he's going to get to saying anything to Dunk about like what his own kid did wrong. I'm sending him away. He's going to think about what he did. This is the closest that he's going to get to an apology.
A move you could have made, I don't know, when he rampaged through a puppet tent.
Yeah, smashing walnuts like a brat.
Before any of this started. Did you see in the behind the scenes that Sam Sproul and Finn Bennett were like in that walnut snatching scene? Sam Sproul's like, he has an allergy, you know, like Finn Bennett has a nut allergy, and then Finn Bennett's like, I just really wanted the job.
I mean,
I hope that's true. I don't know if that was a joke, but I thought it was really funny.
Print the legend, if not. Maekar broaches Baelor. Some men will say I meant to kill my brother. Mm-hmm. The gods know it is a lie, but I will hear the whispers till the day I die. And Dunk takes his share of the blame for this. Says it was for me that Baelor died. And Maekar makes no effort to disabuse him of this notion and says, yeah, you're going to hear the whispers too. Mm-hmm. Now, there's obviously the no man is as accursed as the kinslayer element of this with the Targs and anyone in the realm. Brother killing a brother. This is a scandalous thing. I love the line in the novella when Dunk thinks to himself, perhaps he should have hated Maekar, but instead he felt a queer sympathy for the man. This link between them.
That's what I was thinking about that Dunk-Red exchange. That idea of to go back to that Dunk and Egg scene in the prison cell when Dunk thinks in the book he knew what it was to tell a monstrous lie, right? Mm-hmm. So here's Red telling her monstrous lie of like, I'm pregnant from a one-night stand. I think it's a boy, you know, like, but to get what she wants, which is upward mobility, which is what Duncan wanted, was upward mobility, you know? And so that those moments of sympathy, the sympathy with Red and then the sympathy here with Maekar, like he's an empathetic
hugely
person.
So.
Yeah.
Hugely so. I love that.
And a lover of animals.
Quietly, one of my favorite moments of the season was still the little like petting the goat's head. Young Dunk. This guy loves an animal. Yeah, I like this thinking about the empathy and the empathy born out of an unlikely tie and the ability to even have perspective with somebody else that like you wouldn't think you'd be able to have. You know, we've talked a lot with Egg and Dunk about chance meetings, but like this is another chance entwinement. The fact that Maekar and Dunk are now tied in the annals of Westerosi history and their own emotional experience. Obviously, it's different for both of them, but like this is a thing that they share, and it's especially because you know. Over the course of these scenes and conversations, Maekar, even though he is very warm in certain points, like the Arlan, invoking Arlan, like you mentioned, there are other moments where he's, you know, diminishing Dunk as a hedge knight yet again, right? But that actually makes this even richer to me because it's like he's acknowledging, yeah, they're going to whisper about you too. We are a part of this thing together. You, a person who live a life that like when we met Maekar and Baelor in episode 2, it's like, how do you remember some hedge knight who, like, you know, chance to unhorse?
You want to take my son where?
Yeah.
To eat a what?
Yeah. And so he's got to be bound now to a person who he would have been inclined to really, like, belittle and dismiss. It's just a fascinating thing. The idea that he doesn't know which blow was the fatal one, we talked about this a lot last week. It wasn't really a part of the finale, but it is a part of their conversation in the book, and we've always really loved it. Strange to say, Maekar says in the book, I do not recall the blow that broke his skull. Is that a mercy or a curse? Some of both, I think. I thought that was a great insight into like his state of mind and emotional state.
I love that, and I love the show edition of showing Maekar in that moment, the moment that we think it happened, being so desperate to get to Arian, saying, my boy, my boy. So this idea that he didn't have all his wits about him, and he's literally flailing around.
Right.
And so the fact that Baelor was collateral damage, there's like, you know, a better reason for that than even the book gives us.
Totally, because there is an element of, there is like a part of it that's like, okay, well, you're swinging a metal, like a steel mace at somebody's head, like what, something bad could happen. You know, something bad could happen. There's a little bit of the Jorah, there's a beast in every man and it stirs when you put a sword in his hand, to just the fact that to some extent when you're in that armor and you have that tool of war in your hand, like, what did you mean or not mean to do consciously? It's like something comes over you that leads to that possibility. But I agree, seeing those humanizing elements of like even his hideous, horrible kid, like he's a dad who wants to protect his son. And I think especially given what we see between him and Egg in the finale, that's even richer now in hindsight, and it already was rich at the time. What did you make of how he spoke about Baelor kind of like looming as a presence even in death? The fools will say Baelor will not have let it happen, but the hedge knight killed him, when talking about how the king is old and this idea that like Baelor always could have done a better job will just be the currency, the lingua franca of the realm moving forward.
It's almost like a dragon with like wings so large it casts a shadow across all of the meadow.
Daeron the drunken, Daeron the dreamer with us always. I love this. I love that he is like so upset about what happened in his role in it, but also is like, I'm still
Resentful.
diminished. Yeah, in everyone else's esteem of my brother. Even though we've heard that not everybody feels that way about Baelor. Very, very, very rich. Dunk is like, did I make the right choice? How can a foot be worth a prince's life?
This is like one of the stickiest ideas that comes out of the Hedge Knight is the foot of Sir Duncan for the life of Baelor Breakspear. And this is for folks who did not study English literature, this is like a synecdoche, right, idea, this figurative language concept that Shakespeare was fond of, but many people are fond of, where you take a part to mean the whole, right? Yeah. And so friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears, like just like, and I think it is this especially potent idea when you use like one part of the body, like a more modern language example that people like to use is like when you say, I got a new set of wheels to mean I got a car, right? Yeah. So like the part means the whole, and it's such an interesting way to talk about a thing. The foot of when Dunk talks about like mayhap that foot might have something to do. He's not. We've made some jokes in the spoiler section about what his literal foot could literally do. Yeah. And we'll stand by those things. We've had a blast. And we'll stand by those things. We've been having a blast in the spoiler section. But that's not what's meant here.
Right.
What is my life
compared to his?
Yeah. But the foot stands in for the whole. And I just love that little bit of
that's beautiful
figurative language from George.
I love that. And now in the outcome and in the wake of this, but also even in the initial choice, it's like, did Dunk really care about the foot and the hand and the teeth? Like we talked about the Jaime Lannister, like I was that hand equivalent. And there is a literal aspect of like, well, I'm a hedge knight, what would I do? But it's what that represented about the punishment and the sacrifice that I have to incur when I did the right thing. Yeah. And so to trace that beautiful theme across the inciting incidents and events and now through the legacy of this moment and what you carry from it. And like, we talked about this a little bit on Talk to Thrones, but I love, especially because this is where Dunk invokes the Arlan and the idea of the morrow, like thinking about how characters respond to something that is that big and existential. Yeah. Well, what is the measure of my value compared to somebody like this? Right. What are you going to make it? How are you going to keep doing the thing? Because Dunk is already impacting people and doing the right thing and saving lives. And now he can decide to continue to, or he could wilt and say, I don't deserve it. Or he could be angry. It's a choice he gets to make.
So he says, I'm done with princes, right? Which is a show line that's not in the books and one that Eavesdropping Egg is real bummed to hear, right?
Yeah.
But this idea of like, okay, what is my life? What is my foot? What is my whatever compared to the life of a prince?
Right.
But then, as you mentioned earlier, over the course of this episode, deciding what I can offer is better than what any prince can offer.
Yeah.
You're offering all of the riches and resources of Summerhall. You want me to come to Balmoral Castle, you know what I mean? And like hunt with your son or whatever. But I have value. I have value greater than that. That's an incredible, incredible thing to watch a character like Dunk.
It's
Dunk
awesome.
who, if you read the novella, his constant interior monologue is like self-hatred, right?
Yeah.
Dunk the lunk, thick as a castle wall,
slow
right?
as an oryx.
Like, I'm so dumb. How did I get myself in this position? Why would anyone ever, think how could I think I could do this? To being like, I can do this. I can help this kid. And I'm better than the Targaryens.
The way I can do it is by getting him away from you. That realization will play out over a couple scenes. Here, when Maekar first makes the offer, it's to take Egg as squire at Summerhall.
Right.
Before we get to the Summerhall part, though, here's what he says of Egg. My youngest son seems to have grown fond of you, sir. It is time he was the squire, but he tells me he will serve no knight but you. Given the choice that Egg is going to make at the end, worth spending a second on this. Obviously, just the beauty of Egg's affection for Dunk, the depth of this bond forged so quickly, which is part of what's going to be shattering for Egg as he eavesdrops and hears what he hears.
Right.
But Egg pushing for what he wants. Egg, it's the privilege of a prince, certainly, undeniably, right? But there is something. We're going to talk a lot about the choice that Egg makes at the end and the like ramifications of that and the implications of it. But here, this is admirable to like stand up to his father and say like, I'm only going to do it with this guy. This is the guy I want to do it for. And I've learned something about myself too. I could be happy. I think I could be quite happy at a place like this. Like I'm going to be willing to do something that's unpopular or uncommon. It's the same spirit that led him to Dunk in the first place. And so I just love that little like idea that he told his dad this is what he wanted.
It's the same spirit that has Raymond Fossoway like, stepping up in front of some Targaryen guards and being like, you got to go through me if you want to get to Dunk, the love and loyalty that Dunk inspires in the people around him.
It's beautiful, genuinely. He's an unruly boy, as you will have noticed. He's a good lad. Dunk says, just needs a stern hand, that's all. And then Maekar kind of like moves toward Dunk and leans into him and says, the voice kind of cracking, the delivery of this really just shattered me. Will you have him? And this desire that Maekar has to do right by one kid. And again, the same guy who scoffed at his brother even remembering a hedge knight, now asking a hedge knight. At Summerall on Maekar's terms, but still, to be the one to mentor and teach and guide his kid.
I think some context is helpful here. And then again, thinking about Maekar's strong reaction to the idea of sending Egg away is, his wife died. And so he was a grieving father for much of these boys' childhood, right?
Yes.
So in the way in
Dead
which—
mom not alive from Egg. Yeah.
Right. And so like, how much was he able to show up for these kids as he's like, mourning the loss of his wife? Okay, so there's that. And then also in terms of Aemon being at the Citadel, that was not his choice. He did not want that to happen. So he already had like one son taken, like his one non-psychotic son. Daeron's not a psycho, but Arian is. But like Aemon was like bookish and whatever, but Daeron sent him away because he's like, there's too many Targaryen heirs running around the place. We got to thin the herd.
We've seen how that goes.
Yeah, so let's send this one off to the Citadel. And Maekar's like, not my kid, please don't. And then he loses him anyway. Yeah. So when he says, I mean, this is later, but when he's like, it's my last son.
Oh my God. Shattered me.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I already fucked it with Arian and Daeron. Yeah. There's really no fixing that. No. They took Aemon from me. Yeah. You want to take Egg from me?
Right.
Then what do I have?
Yeah. And you're doing it by telling me that you have to because the very
I'm the problem.
Prospect of him being with me the way these other boys were being inside our family is what will doom him.
Am I the drama? Yeah.
I was interested in how I can't remember if it was on the Inside the Episode or the official pod, but how Ira framed this pitch from Maekar. Obviously, there's a lot of earnest emotion and just heartfelt aspects to what he's saying here, but that it's also like, you embarrassed me and you beat me and now I'm going to make you come to my home and like put you under my foot. I thought that was interesting as an additional element to consider here of like regaining control, seeking to regain control, which obviously he will not, but another element there. And we talked about this a little bit with the Lyonel offer earlier, but this one even more so because we literally heard Dunk and Egg talk about this in this season. The dragon, like, you think the Dragon House is hiring? This is the dream. This is the thing that he wanted. I could be more than a hedge knight. We've talked about that line so many times this season. The position above the salt. To be offered the exact thing. There's a passage we were, I can't remember if we talked about this I guess we must have talked about it in the spoiler section at the beginning of the season. We were beside ourselves that the bugs around Dunk's Elm were just actual flies, not dragonflies, because it... this line that because this Maekar Dunk exchange is one scene in the book instead of split over two. The thing that Dunk thinks to himself is, what shall it be, Dunk? He asked himself. dragonflies or dragons, aka the life of a hedge knight out among the wild things on the road, the exact kind of hedges and mud that he said earlier to himself, like, do great knights die by the side of the road by the dragonflies?
Yes.
They do. After showing us their huge dick. A few days, that's not part of the quote. It's just something we're saying here at the House of Art.
Yeah, because George would have said
equally profound.
Their impressive pink masks.
He usually reserves pink masks for the tiny little bobbing ones. A few days ago, he would have answered at once. It was all he had ever dreamed. But now that the prospect was at hand, it frightened him. I love frightened.
Yeah.
Frightened. It's scary.
After everything that Dunk has been through, after all the things that he's braved.
Yeah.
And this idea of getting involved with this family, with these people, with spending more time around these things that are dream destroyers, right? Yes. Knowing Arian and seeing what Arian was capable of with the horse, not to mention with Tenzel, not to mention everything else.
Right.
These things that just knowing more of these nobles and more of these knights and the more it just like makes the scales fall from his eyes. Yes. But if I go back on the road with the dragonflies, then I can just live in this space with Sir Arlan where I understood what right and wrong was.
Right. And I could make that choice. I wouldn't have to just do what the Lord I had sworn my sword to told me. Yeah, and it's like obviously a lot of it is Targ-centric, but just thinking of the moments where he's appealing to the grandstand or all of the lords he went to say, do you remember Sir Arlan? Who took a wound in your service and you don't fucking remember who he is?
The brood of fucking Bracken?
That guy ripped off a hell of a fart. Remember that?
Really did. Really did.
What a television show. Egg is listening through the door, as you noted. Should we do a fit check on Egg for a second here? We haven't talked about on this very
the
podcast.
Kangol hat? Who wore it better? Eric Tao or
oh my God,
Prince Aegon?
Thank you for being the one to first bring up industry
You're
today.
Welcome.
Boy, that most recent industry episode was really something.
That's what we say every week.
Man, what a season of TV. I think Egg wore it better with respect to Eric. He's going through a lot. So he doesn't need me to pile on.
Do you think that Mika had that hat made for the funeral?
That's a great question.
He's like, cover up that dumb shaved head of yours with this hat.
Yeah, that's interesting is Egg, because obviously we get the very intense mirror scene when he's looking at his hair. So maybe he was like, I want to cover this up. Or maybe, Maekar was like, enough of this silly shaved head. Yeah. Come on. Great question. Dunk asked Egg if he was listening and Egg lies. He says no. He was. He's a liar.
Not the last lie he'll tell this episode.
Little liar. I did just love the way they sit by this window bench and Dunk just says, I can't, Egg. I can't. I'm sorry.
Right. With this like assumption that he knows that Egg was listening.
Egg knows.
So he already knows that Egg knows like what they were talking about. And he just can't do it. And like, yeah, maybe you're not the knight I thought you were.
He didn't say man, he said knight.
Has like 9 different meanings to it, you know? Tough.
Egg. I think his despair is so palpable here and real. And there's an element of this with like Egg, I think obviously feeling very scared, as we will see in this Arian scene, what it would mean to not get to go be with Dunk, to have to go back to his family. I was thinking too just about like, I mean, Egg's a very young kid, right? So how much of this is like active thought when you're 9 or 10? I don't know.
Right.
I think a lot is on your mind when you're at that age. And Egg like made the choice. On the one hand, their entire relationship is built on a lie. On the other hand, it's like he made the choice to reveal himself, to blow his cover, to stand up for Dunk. He sided with Dunk against his family in the trial of 7. And there's definitely, it feels like there's a part of this where he's just like, man, I kept choosing you. Time and time again, I chose you. If you don't choose me back.
Choose me, love me.
What would happen? Where would that leave me if you don't choose me back? And it's like, well, we're about to see. We're about to get a very harrowing glimpse of it. But
and I think also because, you know, when we get that harrowing, I described it like a horror movie, like sort of glimpse in a little bit in the episode. It's like he's so horrified by his hair growing back and this like Targaryen-ness inside of him, this Aryan-ness inside of him. And like how he can't remove it from himself. Yeah. It's in his very blood. It's in his follicles, you know? And is what that is. I've had enough of princes, right? Like is who he is so unlovable, so repulsive that Dunk, who is so kind and all these other things, won't choose him?
And man, what a great question, because then there's also the element of like, and will those thoughts and worries ever go away, even if he does? Before we can go into the future, we've got to go into the past. Arlan's final words to Dunk.
I have some questions about this for you.
Okay, tell me. Is it about how Arlan ceased to have any eye movement for like 4.5 minutes but was still alive? Or I'm not a doctor, so I don't know.
I had some questions about like, how real does this feel to you? Do I believe that Sir Arlan de Pennytree, whilst dying of wounds of an infection, told the story of the Pennytree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did Dunk sit there and ask him, like really ask him, why did you never knight me? Or is this just something that like he's sort of asking his memory of Sir Arlan? I don't know that I have a clear answer. I'm just asking questions. I also thought it really broke my heart when he's telling this story of these are his final moments.
Yeah.
He's dying of this wound. The storm, that we hear the rumble of the thunder, so the storm is coming.
Yeah.
Storm is coming, right?
Yeah. The horses are there.
Have you heard this story before? Many times, etc. Tells the story of the Pennytree, which you can talk about in a second.
Yes.
When he says, when a lord calls his banners and sends us boys off to war, that gave me real egg. I dreamed I was old. He's telling this story and he says, us boys?
Yeah.
As if he was still a boy?
Yeah. In
off
his
to
final
war?
moments of life
Of
and
life?
consciousness, traveling back to the...
traveling back in time to his youth of, well, we can talk about Pennytree and why they were constantly going to war, but like...
Yeah. I love that.
That just like, that hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I was thinking a lot about Eamon in that moment. I dreamed I was
man.
old, and the way in which your brain sort of becomes unstuck in time a bit, maybe in your final moments.
Yeah.
And then for Dunk, to be sitting there and saying, "Why did you never knight me?" I don't know. I've seen a lot of people that I really admire the way that they talk about story, talk about how they think this is a fantasy.
That he wishes he had gotten to like actually pose that question.
Actually
to
ask
him.
that question. I don't mind that interpretation at all.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced either way, but I don't mind. But I was more struck by sends us boys off to war.
Man, I love that. Jesus. The Eamon tie is so good. I think too, like I invoked old Nan on Talk the Thrones and, her quotes about stories and A Game of Thrones, the first book, are some of my favorite ever. And I think that when you get a Thrones property invoking stories, it can go really wrong in a Tyrion series finale way, or really right in like the old Nan way or other examples. But the thing that makes me think of what you're just saying is the other, not the quote I read on Talk the Thrones, but the other one that I love so much: stories wait, my little lord. And when you come back to them, why there they are, which is like, I might get that tattooed. I just love that so much. It's one of my favorite George lines and ideas. And like what you're describing about Unstuck in Time, the Slaughterhouse 5 quality of just like, it makes me think of the end of this episode and the very deliberate choice. So there's like almost like hallucinatory dream-like quality to seeing art, like this shade of Arlan and Sweetfoot
peel off,
traveling alongside Dunk and Egg and then peeling off. And this idea of a true knight always finishes a story. And it's like, it's the tales of Dunk and Egg now, but also like, don't the great stories never end? Are we in the same tale still? And like
that moment we got earlier in the season when Dunk on the tourney ground looks up and Sir Arlan looks down at him.
Yeah.
Right? There are these moments across time throughout the season that I think are really, really interesting.
Oh, I love that.
Can we talk about Pennytree for a second?
Absolutely.
So first of all, you and I both sort of just like looked up this idea of the Pennytree, because this is not from the text. This isn't in this novella, nor when Pennytree comes up in A Song of Ice and Fire.
Right.
It's not described as part of the tradition there, though there are pennies on the tree. But this is a traditional thing that you find, not just in England and Ireland, et cetera, but kind of around the world. And did you look at some of the photos of these trees? They look incredible. Oftentimes, the photos that I saw, the coins are sort of hammered in from the side.
Mm-hmm.
So then they look like, and then then the copper sort of, what do you call it? When it turns teal, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
There's a scientific word, but I'm not a scientist. Anyway.
I'm not a scientist. Add it to the list.
But then it looks like dragon scales. Like, they look incredible, these trees. You should Google them if you have not.
Yeah,
they
they're
looked
amazing.
incredible.
Yeah.
But this idea of the penny tree, which is a traditional sort of practice that they put into the text here. And then the idea of penny tree as a location that is in the middle of the Blackwood Bracken fight. It is like contested territory.
Always chill there. Yeah.
In the we've seen it in House of the Dragon. It is it touches the Blackfire Rebellion. Like the Blackwood Bracken feud is a constant. And in the middle of that, out in the Riverlands, is Penny Tree. So, this idea of like we're always going to war.
Yeah, right.
Because there's always fighting around Penny Tree.
I love the specificity of that location and how it connects to the history, the consistently violent history of the realm, and that like sin begets sin idea we love talking about in Hot D, the kind of inescapable nature of that perpetual violence and the people who were caught up and swept up in it. I also love to like thinking I loved the way Arlan talked about this, and like if you can kind of like pair the physical specific thing that is real and does exist with almost the idea of like how fitting it feels for Arlan to talk about a concept as his home, like not like even though it is an actual, you could point to it on the map, like I just loved, it felt so fitting for this character who isn't like no famous name, no famous house, who has traveled across the land and been a participant in battle after battle. And the idea that his home, the representation of his home would be like just taking up your sword in defense of others, and all of the other people who either because they had to or they wanted to at some point made that choice. And it's like so chilling when he says, that it's hard to find a spot. Like the
number of boys.
Boys who were sent off to like fight. Maybe they cared about it, but maybe it was someone else's war.
Including Roger, perhaps. And like, yes. I think that that's so funny because when I was like making sure I understood the concept of synecdoche, there's this adjacent idea, metonymy, which is the thing that stands in for the concept. So when you say the crown, but you mean like the royal family or whatever, but you have an object that stands in for a larger concept. So this idea of the penny tree standing in for like home or defending that shire or whatever the case may be. But this like image, this very evocative like lyrical image of the penny tree.
It's gorgeous. And then for Dunk to choose to carry it on, like to and this is obviously from later in the episode.
I was a little sad because I kind of like
I know the penny.
I wanted that
sword.
penny still in the hilt, and I'm curious like what's going to – I had a theory actually about what could replace it.
Tell me.
Do you know that there are sapphires in Tar?
That'd be fucking great.
They have to put something in the hilt, right?
Oh, man. Yeah, you got to put something in that pommel. It can't just be an empty penny hole. Maybe he'll just put another penny in it. Maybe he'll keep doing that. Like, I thought that it reminded me seeing him hammer the solitary after he pulled it out, the solitary copper. It made me think, because I had just recently watched this, the nailing in of the boots in Train Dreams. Like it brought that, and that's beautiful. And then you see like the kind of moss growing over them later.
Can we now spend 2 hours talking about Train Dreams?
I would love to. I thought that was one of the best movies of the year.
That's
gorgeous
such a Mallory
film.
movie.
Oh God, I
really
loved it. It was funny. I texted my dad right away, and I was like, "You've got to," and he's like, "I already seen it."
He's like, "Girl,
we're on it. We're on it."
In terms of the penny tree and whether or not, we're gonna go there.
Yeah.
George R. R. Martin has talked about 2 other novellas years ago that he was like almost done with. One is called She-Wolves of Winterfell, right? So at one point we're going,
couldn't be more our shit.
Can't wait for She-Wolves of Winterfell. So like at some point in theory, we're going to Winterfell. We're going north. Great.
Can't wait.
But the other one's called Village Hero, and it's set in the Riverlands. So, like, how can this not be about Dunk doing, like, a Seven Samurai thing in Penny Tree or something like that? You know, he's never said that, but, like, that has to be true. So, you know.
We believe in you, George, despite your own adaptation subtweeting you.
I heard that.
True night, always.
Well, one of our listeners replied to me on Twitter. I hadn't been tweeting about that, but they sent a reply to me on Twitter about how, you know how George showed up in the AMC show Dark Winds, in a scene with Robert Redford, and they're playing chess. The late great Robert Redford, right? They're playing chess, and there's a line in that scene where Robert Redford's character says, "Go on, make your next move. Everybody's waiting." This very like, we get it, you know, sort of moment that George signed off on, was like okay with doing.
Yeah.
Probably because if I'm like, you're going to be in a scene with Robert Redford, I'm like, make fun of me. Go ahead. Do whatever. Do what
Roast
you will.
Me. Yeah.
Go for it, Bob. But like, if that line was in there.
It's with a loving approval and a wink from George.
Yeah.
I agree.
I told you years ago when we were at I think it was the first Game of Thrones convention we went to, they had this like plushy George R. R. Martin doll that had like you squeeze his hand and he says different phrases like follow Margulis or like whatever. And one of the phrases, and like Dave and Neil and I got extremely high and like spent I think an hour crying laughing over this, is one of the phrases was George just going, "I'm working on it," was like part of the plushie doll. So like he recorded that. Yeah. They put it in a doll. You have to cycle through all of them to like get back to I'm working on it. So we just like spent an hour cycling through all of it until we could just hear George go, "I'm working on it." So like he's obviously aware. I think he is both tormented by it and has a good enough sense of humor about it.
I agree.
So, you know.
I think the way that he's been speaking about it recently in particular, there's like, I really admire it. I would just, it would be very easy to like, just want to go hide, which would be tragic. He shouldn't feel that way. This is his beauty. We're getting all of these things because of George, what was in George's mind. Yep. Like, that's incredible, and he should get to celebrate it. It would be really, really cool if we got a couple more novellas, though.
It would be nice. She-Wolves of Winterfell sounds like it's almost done.
That is amazing. I mean, Dunk is, listen, have you heard the story before many times? Dunk is part of the storytelling tradition now. So, like, we got we got to know. We got to know what happens. I think that's clear. On the, is it confirmation or is it not? Did it really even happen or not from with the knighting? Let's take a look at exactly how Dunk or Dunk's internal projection of himself asks Arlan this question.
Why did you never knight me? Did you think I'd leave you? I wouldn't have. There was something else. Sir? Sir?
I got so emotional seeing this for a million different reasons, but one is like we cut from Dunk and Egg, Dunk's battered face and his broken heart and all of these things to like he's going through it in this scene, obviously, but it's just like a much younger, more innocent, you know, just the beginning of the seasons ago, like Dunk.
He's about to have some
just
really bad diarrhea, but other than that.
Like, but his face is all like unbroken. He doesn't have the scars that he will like soon receive, and his like heart and his soul and all these things are still intact. So it's very sad.
And to go from the despair that Egg is feeling, like the sense of being let down, but also lonely, to then Dunk in this moment of loneliness is very powerful too. If this is real, but even if it isn't, you know, something we talked about earlier in the season is like you posed a question, maybe a mid-season mark of like, well, why do we think Arlan? Well, and I was wondering if, given that now what we've seen across this season, I mean, we knew about Roger from the text, but, you know, getting to see like Arlan sleeping at night by Roger's freshly dug gravesite and stuff like that, like, do you think that
But also talking about boys going off to war.
Yeah.
Like the proximity of this to a story about boys coming off to war and never coming back and their pennies staying on the tree because they died.
Yeah, like, is he just afraid of Dunk dying?
Or just never
Wants
wanting to
protect
put
them?
him in a more dangerous position than following around an old man on the road and eating salt beef and laughing in the rain or whatever, like this is a better life for him than it's not just like than the life of a hedge knight, but like the dangers of being a knight in the first place.
Yeah.
I choose to believe.
Yes.
End of Stranger Things.
I choose to believe
that if indeed Arlan ever knighted him, which he definitely didn't, it was out of some sort of misguided idea of protection.
I agree. That's where I am on it too. And obviously, we've talked a lot over the season about the idea of does it matter, and it matters to Dunk, and that's important, and I want to acknowledge that. But certainly, as interesting as it's ever been after what we've watched Dunk go through at Ashford Meadow, to think about how a character we so associate with virtue and honor, what it means that he told this lie and, what it continues to mean, and all those knightings along the way, which have been so wonderful to track and will continue to be wonderful to track. And that the thing that matters most is just how Dunk chooses to live the life of a knight and chooses to behave the way that a knight should. A knight who remembered his vows.
A very important line.
A very important line and a sacred idea. Yeah, it's still unconfirmed. Puzzling. I was puzzled to confront that Ira line. I love the way Ira talks about the show.
Read what Ira said?
So this was, because we talked about this on Talk of Thrones. It's this was confirmed. They confirmed it. It's never been confirmed in the text. Here we go. We got Dunk asking this question. It is confirmed because Arlan's about to kick the bucket. He's 2 seconds away from dying. He definitively did not knight Dunk. We have assumed that was true. All the evidence pointed to that. Here it is confirmed. On the official pod, Ira said, it's still unconfirmed. Sure. It's possible that Dunk was knighted right after that moment, that Sir Arlan grabbed a sword and did it. And it's possible that he died pretty immediately after it.
You said he's 2 seconds from kicking the bucket. How many, in the name of the fathers, can you get out in 2 seconds,
I mean, is he allowed to take, basically I just lost consciousness for 90 seconds nap between each line of the knighting vow? In the name of the warrior, I need a minute. It's like when the studio gets too hot and I'm like, guys, I need a minute, I need to know this.
How's the time going? Okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
We're ticking up, but it's okay.
Can I read to you what it says next in my notes here?
Please.
In all caps, it says, "Be coffin, be coffin. The fucking Kingsguard are here. Be coffin, be coffin, be coffin."
I think you summed up the scene well.
That's what it says in my notes.
I
highlighted in electric green.
Listen, you are the queen bee on the bee's very front.
I am.
I gotta side with you. I mean, the bee coffin is your coffin at your wake being a giant honeycomb is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. This is amazing.
So much love and respect to Aerion Targaryen, who thinks he's a dragon, and to Lyonel Baratheon, who has de-antlered every antlered animal in the realm so that he could smear them across his tent and make a crutch out of one.
It's not practical for the crutch. Remember how Arlan fell asleep drunk and stabbed himself? Yeah. Lionel's going to do that with the crutch at some point.
An armpit stab?
For sure.
That sounds horrible.
That's like an episode of The Pit. I stabbed myself with my antler crutch.
Tuck
it back in.
Who would you most want to be your doctor on the pit? And then I have a follow-up question for you.
Mel?
That was my answer.
Pretty easy answer for me, honestly.
I feel so close to you right now. That was my answer as well.
I love this.
If I say...
Maybe with Huckleberry assisting?
Sure.
Yeah.
If I say the hot doctor on the pit.
Yeah. I kind of think of all of them, but
you have to pick one.
Well, I mean... Abbott back, shirtless, shared a number of text messages with Juliette Lippman about it, so that's powerful. But I would think of Dr. Robbie first. I love a bearded man.
Okay,
I love a bearded man.
Who is the hot doctor on the pig? It's one of my new favorite litmus tests.
I mean, they're all hot.
Yeah, but you have to pick one. If someone says, "Oh, the hot doctor on the pit,"
I'm going Dr. Robbie.
Yeah, you're going Dr. Robbie.
What about you?
Great. It's Dr. Ellis of the Night Shift fame.
Oh, I mean, that's a great pick as well.
That's my pick.
Fantastic pick. I really respect trying to sneak in a nap. You have to do it.
With the eye mask?
Yeah, that's great.
Great shit.
That's a great touch. Also, on the bee coffin front, it's a good way, it seems to me, to fend off grave robbers.
Oh, sure.
It's just occurring to me in real time. There's a practical, security element to it.
But, I do have questions about, where we're putting this coffin.
Yeah, what do you think? Does it just stay here forever?
Before we bury it, we should remove the queen And
do they bury it? What if they keep maybe
Just
there's
like a
a honey
living
hole
home.
mausoleum kind of giant, all the dead
Would you eat
assembled.
the honey made from the dead body of
I'm not
Humphrey
falling for
Beesbury?
this. This is all you're trying to get me still since the early Yellow Jackets days to say that I would engage in a cannibalistic act, and I, unlike you, am just going to stick with I simply would not need a piece of a friend. At least not in that way.
I just don't think that like honey made in close proximity to the body of your good friend Humphrey Beesbury is the same as eating.
You're right, ultimately, because it's just like fertilizer, right?
Yeah.
The dead are in the ground, and then they fertilize. They give us plants.
I want to be buried.
Trees that we can make
I
tables
want to be
from.
buried in one of those mushroom suits.
Do you?
Yeah.
Even after watching The Last of Us?
Yeah. Yearning tendrils.
Huh.
Forever.
I don't know what I want.
Because then you're like, if you get buried in like a mushroom suit or whatever it is.
I don't know if I want to be buried.
Yeah, I mean, you can be burned, but that's all like being buried in
Burn me with a dragon, though. Not one of these sad little torches.
puppet dragon.
That's fine.
Okay. We'll get the puppet dragon and the pollen for your funeral. But
Yeah.
for me,
That can be your second text to Adam. Is Mal chill if we build a Lego together? And then do we have your agreement? Burial by dragon puppet flame. Okay. So you want to be buried with a mushroom
I'll
suit?
present this video as evidence that it was your fondest wish to be buried burned by puppet dragon. Because if you put all of your nutrients back into the soil with the
beautiful.
mushroom suit, you're like feeding the earth.
I think that's lovely.
If you're a little
genuinely.
jar of ashes, you're not doing anything for anyone except creating some like carbon emissions that hurt the environment.
They've got all sorts of new eco-friendly tech.
Do they?
Yeah, it involves water. This is true.
Okay.
This is true.
Great.
I don't know if they do it for people. I've not looked into it.
Okay.
Fucking bee magic. This is one of the lines of the season. My poor sweet warrior. All that fighting's turned your brains to applesauce. This was so funny.
My babe this absolute babe
She's the
knows how to
best.
fit in. And she's like, I know what the way to your heart, it's an apple pun. And I
Oh
can
my
make 'em.
God. Absolutely incredible. Really a quick study.
Oh, another thing I wanted to say.
Yes, tell me. Yeah, it wasn't eat shit, Sarah.
I don't want to be buried in a bee coffin.
Okay.
But
yeah.
did you ever watch the Eddie Izzard stand-up, Dress to Kill?
No.
Okay. One of the funniest things that's ever existed.
Are bees involved?
He's got this whole joke about, I don't know, I can't remember the setup, but anyways,
Okay.
about being covered in bees.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, I like my women like my coffee covered in bees. Anyway, covered in bees was my first screen name.
Oh.
And I got hired on a website when I wrote under Covered in Bees. I got hired out of the comment section. So Covered in Bees is like my origin story and
Look,
writing.
have you and Katie Baker ever bonded over this?
Over Eddie Izzard?
No, over like your life as a influential internet figure connecting to message board pseudonyms and, blogging and comments and so a shared tie.
Was Katie Baker plucked out of the comments as well?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. She's a legend.
Great. Anyway, what was your first screen name?
I don't want to say in case there's a digital record out there still. I'll tell you privately though.
Okay. I'll never tell anyone.
Daeron.
Yeah.
Dunk hears the banging of the vessel, the beverage vessel, with Daeron asking for
I believe it's a tankard.
the tankard. Thank you. Tankard. Some booze. And as we noted, new hairstyle, dress to impress, some fresh stitching and bruising and scars. One of his eyes looks, like a horse kicked him in the head, which it did. Stepped on his foot.
Did you see the prosthetic of his ear?
That was wild.
Yeah.
It didn't look that, in the finished product, it didn't look that like.
But it is like he's got a third of his ear left, I would say.
Wild
conservatively.
stuff. Wild stuff. We already talked about the exchange between Daeron and Dunk in terms of the have you no shame coming here part. But let's hit what he says about Egg, because Dunk is going to walk away. And Daeron stops him. He brings up this idea of Egg squiring. Are you going to take him to squire? And then he brings up Arian. And he says, my brother wasn't always such a little monster. Dunk thinks that he's talking about Egg. He says, Egg is no monster, he's just a boy. And then Daeron says, and we've been loving the Daeron scenes all season.
Oh, yeah.
This performance right here, I thought was exquisite.
I'm telling you, this actor rules.
I didn't mean Egg, but no doubt will make a man of him too. Perhaps the seeds of madness are sown in the womb, as the maesters say. but Arian was quite the glad child once he liked fishing. This gave me chills.
The thing I want to say about Henry Ashton, who plays Daeron Targaryen, is that when in My Lady Jane, he plays like a hot dummy. So to go from playing like a medieval himbo,
Yeah, incredible.
to this is just it makes me so excited to see like what more is in store from him.
I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, possible this is apocryphal, but I believe I saw a Peter Claffey Instagram story from a few days ago that said, make Henry Ashton James Bond.
Oh, Jacob Elordi's like, I'll fight him. I'll step on him.
I'll kick him in his 3/4 of an ear. No, Jacob Elordi's too busy getting kisses and reading books on a beach.
And
one of the great quotes of our time. I stand with Dobbins on this. I'm Team Dobb Mob on this. It's one of the great inspiring quotes of our time. Truly.
I thought you were going to say he's too busy hoisting women up by their corsets, but I don't think you've seen
I've not seen Wuthering Heights yet.
Yeah.
Should I go?
I haven't seen it either. We should go.
I mean, seems like it's one of the great cinematic events of our time. You know what I love? A movie that inspires discussion and debate.
Hoisting. Yeah.
And hoisting. This was an incredible idea. And it's going to take us into this Agarian moment. So the idea of this Aryan-shaped harbinger here for Egg and the like inevitability. You know, we love the gods flip a coin idea that we've talked about across Thrones stories over the years. And it's like maybe it's luck or fate or chance which side your coin comes down on. And maybe as this episode is really hammering, it's nurture. Maybe it's as much the nurture as the nature.
We got this incredible email from our listener Lauren about this, about the way the Targs are presented in general this season.
Yeah.
Lauren wrote, the way in which the show is deconstructing or challenging nearly every way the Targs are or have been seen as otherworldly or exceptional.
Yeah.
The dragons are gone. The Targs are shown entering and leaving on horseback, or in Egg's case, lamb cart. Just like any other. Daeron is a dreamer, but we're also shown a lowly fortune teller with the same ability, demonstrating this is not an ability restricted or inherent to the Targs. Even the famous gods flip a coin mantra of the Targs is questioned by Daeron when recounting that Arian was a good kid, implying his current fanaticism is a result not of some inherent mystical Targ madness ordained by the gods, but a lifetime of being told he and his family were meant to be exceptional and the constant feeling of failure and isolation from humanity that has caused. I just loved that because, again, we've been talking all season, what makes a Targaryen a Targaryen? Right. But this idea of just like, they're on horses just like everyone else. Yeah. And the fortune teller bit was like really, I had not thought of that as like
could be a dragon seed. Kidding.
Sure. But this nature versus nurture idea with Egg is incredibly good. Yeah.
Sarah Dina Smith, excellent director of 3 episodes this season, said on Inside the Episode, had it not been for meeting Dunk, he, Egg, probably would have gone on to be a corrupted Targaryen. So it's such a moment of relief when he goes with Dunk.
And this is something that you were talking about beautifully and quite emotionally on Talk the Thrones, this There Before the Grace sort of idea. Yeah. I do want to talk about it a little bit more in the spoilers section, but sure. But I have always felt that way about this story.
Yes.
That in reading it, in the printed version that we've gotten from George R. R. Martin, this idea of like Dunk saving Egg from becoming his brothers has always been a really, really potent part of it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm excited to hit it again in the spoiler section. I think here we can, I love the scene we're about to get to, which is one of the rare non-Dunk point of view scenes in the season when we see Egg and this knife and Arian and Maekar, allowing us to glimpse something here that even Dunk does not see, really heightens this clarity about how close Egg is to this.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder and a reinforcement of what the life with Dunk can fend off, the other aspects that can be injected into Egg's perspective and experience, the people he could be around, the things he could do. Let him live in that. I could be quite happy in a place like this. But it's also interesting to think about, like, well, Dunk's not in that room. Maekar just moving in his chair. What if he hadn't been there? It's just like, it's a harrowing thing on the heels of feeling the rejection of Dunk to see so quickly, like, where Egg was inclined to go. Because we cut right from he liked fishing. Daeron describing young Arian the way that we think of Egg. He liked fishing, glad child, to this rotting. It's not just the knife and the fish. It's like there are flies everywhere. This tableau of decay and rot.
Decay and rot, but also like a dejected boy who has like not eaten his supper, even though we know he loves to eat fish. And he's just sitting there and his little feet don't reach the floor. He's just like sitting on his bed and he looks so small and so sad.
With his little
and
hat.
Like the fish, the rotted fish, the knife in the fish, and then the knife is gone from the fish. Like all of that is really like great visual storytelling. But like what it tells us about his like state of mind and his isolation here is also really good.
I love that. Has the tummy ache because he's stressed. Relatable content, man. Me before every pod. Truly. We talked about this moment when Egg looks in the mirror and sees his hair growing in, and just like there's like a shudder, like a convulsion of terror that this undeniable Targaryen aspect of him, we heard him say, "I cut it off, brother. I didn't want to look like you," in episode 3, and it's like, here it is. It's always going to grow back. It's always going to grow back. Like you said earlier, I love you the way you put it. Like you can't get rid of the follicles. Like it's a part of who you are. You can decide that you want to be someone else, but there are always going to be these reminders of this thing that's inside, which is, I think, the way that the thing you feel from Egg here so clearly is terror. Yeah. Terror about this thing inside of him, like kind of lying in wait, was just really chilling. And as you noted, the musical accompaniment here was astonishing.
Baby. But like this is why it's interesting that Valar has brown hair with one streak in it, or that Daeron has dirty blonde hair. You know what I mean? It's like this is Arian's hair color that's coming in on.
Yeah,
on
Egg has
Egg's head.
the pure shit.
Yeah.
You read this passage on Talk the Thrones. It's a great one. When Dunk is looking at this spot on Valar's head, and then he thinks of Egg, and like he's kind of making his version of that connection. Valar's hair was brown, but a bright streak of silver gold ran through it. The sight of it reminded Dunk of Arian, but he knew that was not fair. Egg's hair was growing back as bright as his brother's, and Egg was a decent enough lad for a prince. I love this idea that like for Dunk, Egg's hair could be a reminder that not every Targaryen has to be bad. Oh, you might have the silver hair and you're a Targ, but like you could be my dude, you could be my bestie. And for Egg, it's like, I'm afraid of who I am.
But I was told by the sharpest political mind of our age that the only good dragon is a dead dragon. So I don't know how to reconcile those two concepts.
The sharpest political. When you say sharpest, you mean because everything that he carries has an antler tip on it? Is that what
stabbed up into his armpit.
Sharpest. What did it do to you to see Egg walk toward Arian with a knife in his hand?
I mean, so connecting that to the story that Egg told about the way in which he was tormented by Arian, that Arian would come into his bed at night with a knife and talk about cutting off his genitals and making him his sister and stuff like that so that he could marry him. Like this is just like horrific shit from Arian. And so to watch him walk in there, and there's a part, we've seen plenty of people murder on thrones that, like we watch Tyrion murder Shay, like we watch characters we care about and are invested in murder inside of Game of Thrones. But like you're always, at least for me, Arian deserves to die. Like I think he definitely deserves to die. I don't want this for Egg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't want Egg to have done this, not just because no one is as accursed as a kinslayer.
Have you heard that no one is as accursed as a kinslayer?
I have heard this.
Everyone's saying it.
But just sort of like, you think about little Egg at the tourney being like, it's disgusting, so like his like really, he's like, ooh, like his little boyness that we've seen all season. And then, little Targaryens do vicious things all the time, but like, not Egg, man.
Yeah, well, like to have that evil act seep into your soul in that way. Like if Egg had done it, whether it was to threaten him and kind of an eye for an eye, this is what you did to me, or actually to kill him, I would like almost on reflex expect Obi-Wan to be edited into the episode and like literally say, you have become the very thing you swore to destroy. Like the idea that he despises Arian so much, not only for how he's treated him, but now in addition to that, he blames Arian for maybe having cost him Dunk. Like, I'm done with princes. The taint of Arian as a blockade to like the one path that Egg sees for himself to a different kind of life, the resentment that he would feel. And then in trying to rid himself of that, he would become that person, that he would travel down that same road of like, allowing that evil into his heart. It would just be so tragic for like a little 9-year-old to do that, and for anyone. But yeah,
you're saying like kill me, you become me, B.
Exactly. And that's exactly how I would have said it too. That's how Obi-Wan would say it if he were edited in. Perfect. Maekar. This Maekar moment with Egg. This was exquisite.
Just the like, again, there's no dialogue in this scene, similar to like a lot of other great moments this season. It's just like body language, right? And it's Dex, who's just like been incredible all season, but the tears on little Egg's face. You know, Sam Sproul's performance in this episode is exquisite. So his just sort of like just shifting in the dark and then just sort of like registering what's going on with his son and putting his hands on his shoulders and then watching. For me, it was the way in which Egg just like sinks back into him, sags, you know, into him, drops the knife, sags back. We got an email from our listener, Herschel, who said, the way Egg sinks into him is something I've seen time and time again with my boys. A relinquishment of anger because you know you're safe, which Egg clearly feels safe with his father. I don't know that I wholly agree with like the very last part because Egg, I believe there's truth in Egg earlier this season when he told Dunk, I don't really know my father.
Yeah.
You
and
know,
also
so
when he told Thunder he's mean to horses.
Right. I don't know that like Egg feels like super safe with Maekar in general, but I think in this moment, he's like, here's someone in the room who's here to stop me from doing the worst thing that I could do. Yeah. And that's a relief to me that someone was here to stop me from this because I don't know that I could have stopped myself.
Yeah. And the like the gratitude for acceptance in that moment too. You know, he's not chastising him. Now maybe he could have been a teachable moment, I will say. not to shift the vibe, but it could have been a teachable moment. But the fact that he like, because he is feeling like, okay, I want to go with Dunk. He doesn't want me to. And to be able to sink into his father like that, and it makes me think of, it connects to what you were saying earlier with Maekar and his wife and Egg's mom and like how present was he for his kids. And like we can deduce not very based on what we've heard Egg say, but also something like hearing earlier in the season and in the novella, like, you know, when Raymond is the voice of this idea that Arian wouldn't have done this thing with Humphrey Harding that he did if Maekar had been there, like that his children operate in fear around him, you know? And so you think like, I found myself thinking,
he foot whipped Daeron.
Right, exactly. Like, is this the first moment that Egg has felt tenderness from his father?
Possibly.
You know? And like, what a sad thing, but also like the gift of realizing that might be available to him finally. Like maybe it is a moment where Maekar has decided to change because he doesn't want to lose Egg the way that he has lost these other boys.
I mean, this takes us into this other scene, but like this is why the adaptive change that they decide to make, that Egg is lying when he says, my father said I could go, right? Which according to Ira came from like a joke that they started in like a group text and then just became like the button for the season. And it's funny. And like, I'm not, it's fine. I'm not like mad. I want to see how it all plays out.
I have some questions, as you know.
But it's a bummer to me because like, I think, you know, we got a great email about this, but like,
yes, we did.
I think the way in which like, we got a number of emails about it, but like, you know, the way in which like, Dunk, of all people, who doesn't have the words, is able to convince Maekar to change his mind is so hugely important.
Yeah, I agree.
So to just be like, JK, he never gave his permission.
Yeah.
And again, in the book, it's complicated because it's not like, there isn't like an explicit scene in the book where Maekar says with his words in his mouth, you have my permission to go. But there are things that happen later in the other novellas that like I don't want to get into, but this is an adaptive change for Maekar to be like, for Egg to lie. And I know I'm skipping ahead, but
no, we can hit it here.
But like I think it's a problem that Dunk doesn't get to convince Maekar that Maekar isn't so moved by what happened with his brother and what is happening with Arian and all this sort of stuff to change his mind. That is like an important thing for Maekar to go through. Yeah. And it is important, like especially like how stern he is, how dismissive he is, to sort of have his mind change and say like, I will send my child with this hedge knight.
On the road,
is a beautiful part of the story.
I agree.
And then what it forces you to confront on the Egg side of thing is that Egg, and we got several emails about this, is that like Egg is once again telling a lie that is
imperils
putting
Dunk. Yeah.
Dunk in danger.
Yeah.
So has learned nothing, nothing from the lie he told before.
Yeah.
We see him tell a lie inside this episode and he's like, no, I wasn't eavesdropping.
Yeah.
That's like a more innocuous lie than like, yep, my Lord Father said I could go with you.
Yeah.
And now we're fugitives on the road.
Yeah. It's
That's tough, man.
Yeah. I do find this strange. I think that this finale was great. And I think the season was incredible. I did bump on this. Like we talked about it a little. I think everything you just said really like covers it well. I'm a little less fussed about the Egg part of it, though I am really compelled by that point. I think that it feels true to Egg's character to me to continue maybe to make the same mistake. And
Sure,
like,
and he's
I
a
think he's
child.
so young. Yeah, exactly. So I have more grace because he's so young.
He's
and
a
it's
child, but also he's like very smart and
He is.
self-possessed for his age.
He is.
And again, it's like, it's not just a mistake. It's a mistake that imperils Dunk.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's, I mean, I know I said this on Sunday, but I am just kind of mystified by the idea that like, how exactly are they going to escape and fend off detection for what period of time?
Don't worry, Egg has put on a murder cloak, so everything's gonna be fine.
I think the way you're saying about Maekar really resonates with me, and like I can talk myself into Maekar being that there is still, even though he has like made this offer and done this thing and said these things to Dunk, and we'll talk about the second scene in a second, that he can't quite push himself to that final acknowledgement that the life at Summerhall would doom his own kid. I can talk myself into that. I'm ultimately with you though, that like Dunk compelling him was always such a beautiful end note for the story. And then like, cause the passage in the text, which we can, since we're talking about this here, we can just hit here, is there's certainly enough room for ambiguity, but I think we've interpreted it a certain way. It's more like you're alluding to that at the top of Sworn Sword, there's just some like, just seems very, I mean, maybe even that you could make work. But in Hedge Knight, the passage is, Maekar Targaryen Mika, Prince of Summerhall, regarded Dunk of Fleabottom for a long time, his jaw working silently beneath his silvery beard. Finally, he turned and walked away, never speaking a word. Dunk heard him riding off with his men. When they were gone, there was no sound but the faint thrum of the dragonfly's wings as it skimmed across the water. The boy came the next morning. So is it possible inside of that?
So there's like an implication.
Yeah.
But there's room, as Ira Parker has said, like
Yes.
there's just like room for them to wiggle in a little change, and surely approved by George because, you know, he's working very closely with George. He seems very invested in not taking George off. So like, but I don't know. I don't know that it's worth it for like what the explanation they gave was, we thought it was funny. Yeah. And it is funny. Yeah. But funny at a cost of a big character development. Yeah.
Yeah. He said on Inside the Episode, Ira said on Inside the Episode, Maekar said no, Egg went anyway, we'll deal with the repercussions of that down the line. I'm curious to see how.
Right. We got a lot of emails from, like, there's, you know, a lot of screenshots of Sam Sproul's hands going around being like, his signet ring is missing, but yada, 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 which has to do with, like, future book stuff. But, like, Ira Parker said it pretty cleanly, where, like, in the version of the story they're telling, Maekar said no, Egg went anyway.
Yeah. Fascinating. Fascinating. Dunk is like, I'm going to give it one more shot before this eventual outcome. Daeron's words have kind of resonated. He's thought back to this stretch with Arlan that either happened or didn't. And he's got a counter. You know, you never say yes or no just to the first offer. You got a counter. I want to spare Egg from this fate, right, is kind of the thrust of this. And he is going to have to say some things about his sons to a father. He has gotten to this moment of the full embrace of the life of a hedge knight, that it is better. I thought you were done with princes, Maekar says. Egg is no prince. Not yet. Might be he's better served away from castles and servants and his family, Maekar cuts in. It's like, yes, exactly. Let's see the rest of this.
Aegon is blood of the dragon. We cannot sleep in ditches and eat hard salt beef.
Daeron never slept in a ditch. All the beef Arya never ate was taken rare and bloody.
He's my last son.
So good.
So good. Oh my God. We've talked about this a lot already. Do you want to get into for a moment, and anybody who doesn't want to hear this could skip ahead like couple, 3 or 4 presses, what Peter Claffey said on Inside the Episode about this, which contains something that we have been begrudgingly and against our will compelled to not say all season long, that then it's just a real, and they just tweeted it out in the last Inside the Episode.
We're going to allow ourselves to talk about it here, but you can skip ahead if you don't want to
skip ahead, just this will be like a minute. Go ahead.
Just wait until you hear us talking about Sweetfoot.
Exactly.
Then you can stop.
Yeah. What did Peter Claffey say?
Oh, what did Peter Claffey say? Peter Claffey said, to be a knight. No, I'm not going to do the accent. It's about being true to the principles that you live and set upon yourself. And it's solidified when he speaks to Daeron. And Dunk realizes that there's a little kid that looks up to him. And now he has the opportunity to raise a future king. By the way, Sir Arlan taught him because he's going to be well-rounded, knowledgeable, superior king of Westeros. Egg will be king, and Peter Claffey just said it, and they left it inside the episode.
Wild stuff. Now, again, I think our belief shared is that the show could have been framed this way from the start. Egg on the unlikely. This is the story. You're watching the story of Egg on
George
the unlikely.
also just said it at New York Comic Con. So
yeah. I would have had no issue with this just being the framing of the story we were watching the whole way. I think it's pretty weird that they deliberately did not talk about this all season long and then included it in the last Inside the Episode.
Yeah.
Pretty strange. I liked what Ira said on the official pod. What drives him back to Egg ultimately is the idea that Egg's lot is not yet decided. Part of the reason we allowed ourselves to go into Egg's POV, while we don't ever tread in the POVs of the lords and ladies, kings and queens, Egg's future is undecided. What he's going to be, he's still multiple clay. So Dunk is feeling it too, and he's about to feel the sweet fur of a beautiful horse, because Raymond has done one of the best things that any character.
Say fur for a horse?
I don't know, but hair, horse hair,
coat,
yeah,
and horse hair,
yeah, it's beautiful. Whatever it is, wonderful. I really like the way that he was like doing this, like with his nose, so sweet. Every now and then, even in a story that we love, there's an injustice.
George forgot to give us an update on Sweetfoot.
We just have had no idea.
Dunk just traipses off without a backwards look for Sweetfoot, who he promised he would come buy back if he had the money to do so.
You cannot make Dunk Mr. Animal Lover Horse Guy all season and then just not show us that Sweetfoot is okay. So thank the gods.
Ira Parker righted it wrong here.
That Ira righted this wrong and Raymond came through yet again. He has bought Sweetfoot back for Dunk, but Dunk is like, she's not mine. It's a new phase. And so he sends her to New Barrel with Raymond, who immediately takes a huge bite of a green apple and feeds it to Sweetfoot, who did not seem thrilled.
She loved it. She loved the apple. Our listener, Maddie, said, as to whether Sweetfoot would be better suited to a red or green apple, one thing you have to watch very closely with horses' diets is their sugar intake. Too much sugar too quickly or too high a sugar content in their food with not enough forage can lead to serious problems. A Granny Smith apple has considerably lower fructose and glucose than a Fuji or a Gala, or even a Pink Lady.
I never mentioned Fuji or Gala. But.
While you should only be giving high sugar treats like apples occasionally, if Sweetfoot is indeed going to retiring to the land of apples, it's probably better for her health long term that it be with the Fossoways of green apple. I've never met a horse that prefers one apple over another. Well, I'm sure they're out there, but I feel like Sweetfoot belongs on Team Green.
Let me say this. This is dirty, Pool, and this is foul that you've done this. Because what am I going to say to this? I'm not going to say, give the animal, I love animals.
Diabetes.
I'm not going to say, give the animal, fuck yeah, unhealthy amounts of sugar. Come on. Frankly, how dare you?
Most of the emails we got about this were like, please don't send a horse to an orchard. The horse will die. Because
is that true? Oh, no.
Yeah, just because they should not be eating apples constantly.
Oh, and well, I thought you were going to say like uneven ground with roots and stuff. I don't know. I just want Sweetfoot to be okay.
This word came up, but is it founder? Founder. I don't know what that means, but it's a bad thing if you're a horse. And if they have too many apples, it's a problem. So don't let Sweetfoot free graze in the orchard. An occasional... Yeah. But I really think this is going to be
it's going to be great.
Rowan's horse now.
Yeah, I think
Lady Rowan Fossoway definitely
we need Lady Rowan of the Green Fossoway, the Green Apple Fossoways to take care of.
Do you think and this is just a question because this lady and this potential baby don't exist in the books? Do you think they're going to name the baby Duncan?
I mean, that would be absolutely beautiful. I love when that happens.
Here's what I want. I want every season someone to name their child Duncan.
Would be great.
It'll be like when Rachel and Friends had a baby and named it Emma, and then there were just like a million baby Emmas because of it.
Yeah. I was thinking about this. Is there going to be a real world uptick in Duncan?
Duncans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or egg.
Yeah. Probably Duncan.
Remember the Khaleesi boom?
Yeah, there's still people out there named Khaleesi.
Yeah. Duncan's a great name, I think.
Yeah, Daenerys is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Khaleesi, really tough.
What's your favorite Thrones name for real world application? Like Tyrion? Daeron? Damon? But spelled in a Thrones way?
I think Arya is a really good name.
Oh, Arya's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Nymeria.
To all the Khaleesi's out there, I'm sorry your parents did that to you. I hope you go by Lisi. To the
or Callie.
To the Daenerys's, Danny,
Mhm.
classic Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I ever have a kid, I'm going to name her Alice.
With 3 fingers.
Yeah.
Bereft of thumb.
I'll never be able to say bereft around her.
Great.
No, I can't. I couldn't name a kid Alice. That's Sean's kid's name. So many Alices lately in stories that I've read. There's a real Alice boom that's just an observation from me to you. The Tales of Duncan Egg.
Professor Liddell, not always welcome, but sometimes. Sorry, no, it was Alice Liddell. Dodgson. That's Charles Dodgson. Sometimes welcome.
Dunk has hammered Arlan's penny into the tree, and he's talking to his horses as is his wont. He's talking to Chestnut, talking to Thunder about where to go next.
Raymond talked to Sweetfoot. Remember when Raymond's like, talking to your horses? It's mad.
Well,
and then he did it.
Weirdly waiting in the shadows and the rain by his elm.
Yeah.
Strange.
But Dunk's talking to his horses again because he has no one to talk to.
Yeah.
Except here comes Egg.
You know, on the horse, I love just getting to see the shield one more time, the shattered shield. That he's like, it's there and it can be repaired and it's still his. Like, little details I love. Sir Duncan, my Lord Father says I am to serve you. Don't fact check it. It's fine. Don't worry about what it means or how it happened or how it will impact us in the future. That's for next year. Serve you, sir. Loved it. They're right back into the rhythm.
That's straight out of the book.
Yes,
Yeah.
of knight and squire. And they ride off, and Egg wonders where they're going to go, and Dunk says they could go anywhere in the 7 kingdoms, and then Egg is right back into, you get a lot of shit to learn, man mode. It's 9 kingdoms.
Before he gets into the actually.
Yeah.
Dunk's like, we could go anywhere. Like, duh. Like, he's about to say Dorne.
Yeah.
Like, duh.
Yeah.
And then Egg's like, I have an idea. We should go to Dorne. They've got puppets there.
Yeah. And hot chicks who are not too tall for
puppets.
A number of things, including puppets. Yeah. Crownlands, Westerlands, Stormlands, Riverlands, the Iron Islands, the North, the Reach, the Vale of Arryn, and Dawn. Great response from Dunk. He's like, no, but what?
Yeah.
As I mentioned at Hearth of Thrones, I thought the actual flashing and updating of the word mark was not necessary, but I did enjoy this conversation. Thought that was cute. And they do settle on Dorne, and will we be treated to those adventures at some point? You think Dunk got to sheath the sword? What do you think?
We have some information. Do you want me to share it?
Let's do it.
They have said they are going to Dorne in season 2.
It's wonderful.
How long they shall be there, because it's not in the book.
Right.
So, like, if that's just like, if it's a flashback, like we flash back to the time we went to Dorne.
Yes.
Or it's like,
which would be more in keeping
just
with him,
the
like,
beginning of
the
episode
time.
1 or something like that. I don't know.
Love it. The score here, just gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. And this is where they ride off. Arlan and Sweetfoot peel away.
Friend of the pod, Aziz from History of Westeros, likened this moment to one of our shared favorite movies, Field of Dreams, which I just rewatched recently when Ray Liotta as Shoeless Joe peels off into the corn, and then like he disappears, but the camera like keeps following where he was walking, which like I'm already crying, and then we're getting all the like praise dad and catch and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, the following into the corn of like this ghost, I was just like, a lot of people also think this is a Fast and Furious reference.
Hell
which,
yeah.
like,
Why not both?
Sure, Paul Walker, you are with us.
The all-time why not both?
Yeah.
This was beautiful. I love the Tales of Dunk and Egg. Last pages are for you, Sam aspect, but even just the little subtle touch of the way that Dunk just gallops. It's not really galloping. Moves. Trots. There we go. Just like slightly further over to the left after Arlan peels off. Like that's
Taking
his
that
position
role.
now.
Love
That's
that.
lovely.
Gorgeous.
We already hit the Stinger-esque Maekar moment. That means it's time for the book spoilers. The look ahead.
Yeah.
If you don't want to hear it.
One last thing I want to say
Yes, please.
about the Maekar aspect.
Yes.
Our listener Abby wrote in to say, in terms of Maekar running around being like, where the fuck is Egg, right? Abby wrote, it reminds me of the iconic Tywin intro with Jomi talking about Tyrion's kidnapping. Jomi, quote, I didn't realize you placed such a high value in my brother's life. Tywin, quote, he's a Lannister. Might be the lowest of the Lannisters, but he's one of us, and every day that he remains a prisoner, the less our name commands respect. If another house can seize one of our own and hold him captive with impunity, we are no longer a house to be feared. If Maekar, so, end quote. So, Abby says, if Maekar is yelling for the whole camp to hear that his son is missing, that means many people in other houses packing up are hearing that Targaryen is once again unaccounted for. Flop era.
Also part of why it didn't make sense. Just to be frank.
Era. Flopperoo. All right.
Book spoilers. If you don't want to hear about events from The Sworn Sword, The Mystery Knight, future canon events beyond the written novellas.
Some season 2 info that I just put here just in case people don't want to hear it.
We'll see you, hopefully next week for the mailbag, but certainly in June for Hot D season 3. Tomorrow for that trailer breakdown.
Yeah.
Thanks for spending a night of the Seven Kingdoms with us, season 1. We'll see you for season 2 and like 500 pods in between. All right. Flash some sirens, dragon screeches. It is time for the book look ahead. Where should we begin?
Okay. So on Dunk's like quote unquote resurrection.
Yeah.
Sort of like in response to us being like, this guy should not be alive, right? Yeah. Our listener Sam, who's the best, wrote an email saying, one of the hilarious running bits in these novellas is just how supremely fucked up Dunk gets by book's end.
Yeah.
He passes out from his extensive wounds each time and is essentially, quote, saved by maesters. At risk of comparing this to somewhat shaky later seasons Thrones plotline, I couldn't help but think of Beric Dondarrion miraculously being kept alive. Now, obviously, Thoros and R'hllor, maybe, probably, had a little something to do with that 9 lives thing, but I kept ruminating on this idea of a knight being kept alive for a reason, even if that reason is one small act of grace and heroism to play in the endgame, like Beric's keeping Arya alive just a little bit longer for her to fulfill her destiny. Perhaps Dunk's arc will play out similarly. Perhaps the gods give him strength through many trials and tribulations, only for his spared foot to punt a Rhaegar out of harm's way down the road in 259 AC, or to playfully quote Sandor Clegane, maybe it's just because he's a big fucker and tough to kill.
I love it. It's still one too many stab wounds to vital organs in the show. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Thought it was great. Great email. Lyonel's words. Obviously, there is a little bit of in the immediate canon with the second Blackfire Rebellion coming in the third novella, third season of this show. Just the like kind of tenor of the where things stand in the realm.
But
more about Lyonel's future rebellion. Both.
Yeah, I mean, that's where my mind went, was like, we're setting up a future season where, you know, Daniel Ings is like, I've read the wikis and I get to like come and fight Dunk eventually. And that's what that stepping on the foot dance, that we highlighted in the spoiler section that week and stuff like that. That being said, do you think they would involve Lyonel Baratheon in like any sort of Blackfire business?
I think this gets to a larger question that we sort of started to hit. I mean, I guess we've talked about it a few times. We started to hit it really last week with the email we got about whether we had any concerns about just like the story of Sworn Sword as the second season of the show. And then we were talking a little bit about just how to kind of maybe incorporate more Blackfire history, et cetera. Yeah, Dorne. I'm really curious to see, it feels like one of the things that is so like one of the things people love so much about the novellas, and one of the things that worked so well about this season as an adaptation, was that it really was focused and contained. And so I think there is a little bit of risk if that kind of core organizing principle of like each of these stories, each of these novellas, each of these seasons will be like they went to a place and a thing happened. It's a moment in time that is worth showing us. Mm-hmm. I would worry a little bit about diluting that by having other characters who maybe would have no reason to be at Sandfast or White Walls or wherever they go in the future, like appear there, or too many little stops they make along the way. That said, if they're in the Reach, why not go visit Raymond and Red? Like, it would be okay, I think. Yeah. So, as is always the case, I think it's about execution and probably calibration. Are there ways to get Lyonel into the story sooner? Without question. Is it totally clear to me how he would be interacting with them, given that the way that these novellas function is like, we went to this castle and did this one thing? I don't know.
Maybe he just decides to go to Winterfell
That would be great.
See about the she-wolves of Winterfell there.
How do you incorporate antlers into your winter wear? I can't wait to find out.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
I can't wait to find out. I did get more like we're on the just show verse front, like setting near-term Blackfire Bells vibes from this. Not that Lyonel as a character is in any way thinking about the Blackfire Rebellion, but more just priming us for the fact that like we're 2 years, 2 seasons away from an attempted, an attempted, very short-lived and badly botched, but an attempted play for the throne. Valar's heir is not going to be around to see it because he's about to die.
All of the memes, and I think I've sent you some.
Yeah, you did. They're great.
Of like strong words for someone who's unvaccinated or like whatever. But yeah, Valar's about to get the vid and he doesn't make it. So it's tough.
Great spring sickness is coming to claim the king, Daeron II, Valar, and his younger brother Materys. And that's how we're going to get Aerys, Baelor's next youngest brother, as king. Maekar will eventually be king, but not quite yet.
We gotta plow through a lot of Targaryens to get there.
We do.
Kira Tyrosh, who was at the funeral with her pink hair, I've been excited about that since we saw a promo photo of her. Does go on to marry Daeron Targaryen. They've also been some incredible tweets about that, about like a shot of Valar and a shot of Daeron like from the finale, and just people being like, Kira Tyrosh, your power. You know what I mean? Like, look at these two incredible hot Targaryens
they
landed.
Both look great.
You know?
They do both look great. The all of the, whispers about Bloodraven and what did he do with his dark magic, obviously just like a through line of the canon. The whispers that Valar's heirs were killed in the womb by Bloodraven's magic. That's in the air as well. Aerian's stint in the Free Cities, solving everything, making him a better person, and everything will go great from here.
It doesn't.
That's not the case. That's not the case. He's about to father some bastards, fighting the Second Sons in Lys. He will be back in Westeros in time for the third Blackfire Rebellion, though, in 219 AC. If they keep the general timeline of this in the show, he's going to be back in the mix in a future season, not that far into the future of the canon. And as we noted with the, the great moment where CR was like, and Dunk cut his dick off, he's going to have an actual, he's going to have an heir. He's going to father an heir who will be a claimant in the Great Council, kind of going head to head with Egg and not winning. The Maekar business. We got another email.
Oh, this is also from Sam. He's my last son is a touching beat, and obviously in the novella, he leaves without saying anything, so who knows what gets resolved in the intervening 2 years. But the power of that moment to me was always Dunk wielded the power to truly change Maekar's mind and shift his perspective. They're going to need to do a lot of legwork in season 2 with the ring to explain how they're not just still fugitives, especially in a post-spring sickness world where Egg bumps from like 12 to 7. I sent you a tweet that suggested cutting the post-credits thing and restructuring the episode so that Dunk's second pitch to take him came after the knife beat with Arian. Thereby, Maekar is softened by seeing the resentment grow and ultimately realizing Egg must grow up differently than his brothers. This is all fairly troubling, given that Sproul has confirmed he will not appear in season 2.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be optimistic, but this is a tough one. And I went and fact-checked that, and Sam Sproul has indeed said that he's not in season 2 of this show. So there's not going to be a Maekar scene or flashback in season 2 where we see him catch up with them and give him the ring.
The signet ring.
So maybe Egg did steal the signet ring.
Yeah.
For all of the people who are freeze framing and zooming in on poor Sam Sproul's hand to try to find the signet ring. Maybe he stole the signet ring, but that still doesn't mean that Maekar gave him his blessing.
Yeah. So these passages from Sworn Sword. What did your father tell you when he sent you off to squire for me? To keep my hair shaved or dyed and tell no man my true name, the boy said with obvious reluctance. Could still be a lie, I guess. Could just be a lie.
Yeah.
That's sort of, I don't love that, but you could say Egg is just lying again. So far as most folks are concerned, Aegon Targaryen went back to Summerhall with his brother Daeron after the tourney at Ashford Meadow, Dunk reminded the boy. Your father did not want it known that you were wandering the Seven Kingdoms with some hedge knight, so let's hear no more about your boot. The boot being the signet ring that Egg is always we could always use the boot. We could show them my boot because he's hiding the ring that proves who he is in the boot. I guess Egg could have stolen it, like you're saying, and it could be. I don't know. Why did they do this? I'm puzzled by this, and I
have a lot of faith in Ira. So much of this season was done so well, but a knight who remembered his vows and this moment just feel like those butterflies that George is always worried about, you know?
Oh, God. Yeah. Egg's future.
Yeah.
Peasant King. I forbid him to live as a peasant. We loved the World of Ice and Fire quote we shared earlier this season elsewhere in the spoiler section. Egg is more than half a peasant. This idea that he's like the peasant king is something that a lot of other lords will use against him ultimately.
Yeah. Just as you and I are gearing up to talk about the House of the Dragon trailer, our listener Emily wrote in, basically, I'm paraphrasing, saying, like, should we be thinking about Daeron in that show being raised away from his family? Like, with love and respect to Helena, who's doing her best, Alicent's has not raised some great children, but Daeron kind of rules, and Daeron was not raised with his family.
Yeah. I mean, I'm loath to give the Hightowers
any
credit, but Daeron rules. So Daeron rules.
Summerhall.
Yes.
We also got a couple emails about that, right? Like, we got I thought this was really funny when Dunk says, "Are you mad?" to Egg, and Egg said, "Is that relevant?" Like, that's funny, right? Yeah. But like the prophecy thing, which is like, which I kind of stumbled over trying to talk to you about this on Talk the Thrones, but like it really puts a sour note on this whole idea of like Dunk has saved Egg. If like what they're setting up is for Egg to maybe not descend into full madness, but to become so consumed by, the pursuit of dragons, etc., that he doesn't wind up that much better than Arryn and Daeron in the first place. So then it's not that Dunk saved him for a while or Dunk, he did some great reforms for the people before he lost his marbles in pursuit of dragons or something like that. But like that prophecy, because we always knew that Egg died at the tragedy of Summerhall, and that
trying to bring the dragons back.
There was something sort of tragic and ill-advised about where he landed.
Right.
But this idea in that fortune teller's prophecy of, and everyone who knew you will like rejoice.
Yeah.
Makes it seem like it's going to be much darker than I expected, which was like a kind of a magical whoopsie. You know what I mean? And this is going to be like much tougher and closer to Arryn than we would want. And so Dunk saved Egg by getting him out of there. Well, did he though? Or did he just prolong the inevitable?
I mean, I guess that'll be the interesting story to watch. And I think there's obviously we've talked about this for days and weeks and months of our lives when totaled up together in terms of what went wrong, not with the specific story choices with Dany, but the execution at the end of Thrones. Right. And so much of this, I think, will come down to if it is presented as a tragedy and that Egg had opportunities to live a different way and it wasn't enough, or he could for a while, but not forever, that there was some inevitability, as Daeron frames it, that was fended off but not ultimately stamped out. I think there's a way that could be so harrowing and really tragic and beautiful and like painful, and like I think what it would tell us about maybe our choices versus what feels like almost predetermined could be like almost a very like existential and philosophical thing. So I'm very open to it. I think that for me right now, because the end is, I mean, who knows? God, will we get the novellas? Will we get the show? How many years will we wait? What will it look like? I think for now, the idea that Egg can actually, that it's not just
be happy
us.
in a place like this for now.
Yeah, like, because it's like we have the Summerhall knowledge, he doesn't. Obviously, he has the exposure to this prophecy, though, which maybe really heightens that sense of fear that he has now that he's been exposed to that. And I think the fact that right now he's like, I just want to try to, I don't want that hair coming out of my head, and I don't want to end up like the guy in that bed. I think that there's a better life that I could live, and I want to be with the person who could help me live it, is really interesting and like exciting to think about. And for Dunk to be a person who can maybe not only grant Egg that opportunity, but spare him from just one knife thrust, being one knife thrust away right now from falling into that pit. And then like, what's the history of the realm if Egg is lost now instead of later? Also really interesting to think about. So yeah, I like it. I certainly, your words of caution about maybe the tipping points and the complexities of like something feeling very clearly stated as a future circumstance. Who knows if that fortune teller got it right, you know?
Sure. Fair.
Who knows?
And language is a tricky thing.
Yes.
Our listener Clinton, on that front, did write in, like, sort of talking about these moments of darkness that we see in Egg and bringing up Dany and saying it reminds me of thinking Dany is good and righteous despite there being plenty of evidence that she is violent and cruel. She locks Zaro in a vault, crucifies the masters, burns the Khals alive. Like, you know, that there were stepstones along the way with Daenerys. It was just like not very well executed at the end of the day. And maybe they're trying to do a better version of that here with Egg.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like, you know, thinking of how, again, the end of Thrones could not be more imperfect, but like Dany confront. We don't need to talk about the end of Thrones, but like, you know, finally being on the precipice of this thing, and then it's like they prefer Jon. Jorah, he's gone. You know, having those things ripped away, and then feeling, right. Like my mind starts to think of, because we have seen these moments of darkness from Egg, and he knows that's there, and we know that's there. It's less like, are these things inherently in conflict with each other, and more, well, what then pulls him down so that he can't swim back out? And it's like, well, what if it's feeling that he lost Dunk at the end, you know? And that would be like, and what would Egg have to do for Dunk to say, like, you're not my egg anymore. You're not the king I thought you were, you know? Yeah, exactly. You're not the king I thought you were.
Our listener, Ashley, wrote in with this really interesting conversation about Summerhall. I can't help but tie the conversation Dunk has with Daeron this episode with an all-time quote from our guy, Maester Aemon. Quote, "My brothers dreamed dragons, and the dragons killed them, everyone," end quote. These tragic little boys were sitting in Summerhall together, talking about their dreams of dragons until Daeron started to come true. Now it isn't a game anymore, and Aerion starts the process of, quote, killing the boy to let the dragon be born.
Right.
Maybe puberty is when these dreams start really taking off, and Daeron sees the writing on the wall for Egg. He's like, quote, "Get this kid away from the constant dragon symbolism," end quote. With Summerhall being such a place of mystery, it makes me wonder if it's one of the, quote, hinges of the world where magic is strongest. I'm going to pause and say, we talked about this with Harrenhal with House of the Dragon last season. Resuming. We have a long track of dragon dreamers in the line, but was there ever a group so condensed? They're the only ones at this point who have ever really lived at Summerhall for an extended period of time. Begging the Targaryens to write up a care and keeping of you book for dreamers, always gorging on grief at Summerhall. So this idea that Summerhall itself is this place that's sort of like
interesting,
super soldier serum enhanced, like the prophetic dreaming and dragon preoccupation of these.
I think it's entirely possible. I think it's also possible, and this is less poetic and compelling, that we just have more canon for this period of time and this stretch of the family. Like, you know, the fact that we didn't know until Hot D season 1 that Aegon the Conqueror was a dreamer, but he is, and everything we've learned about Viserys, et cetera. So I think it's also just possible that the more time we spend in other stretches of Targaryen history and other adaptations,
we'll
see more dreamers. Okay. But I really do like the especially because Egg in the third novella, in Mystery Night, starts actively talking about Daeron's dreams and about dragons, which is only a couple years away.
Yeah.
This like, hey, it's about to like really like
kick off.
Yeah, I think that's interesting.
Last but not least, can I do a sort of like roundup of some season 2 information?
Please.
Okay, so Nicole wrote in to say, have I missed something, or have they still not announced the casting for season 2, including Lady Rohan?
And more importantly, Bennis.
I have seen, like, not officially, but I've seen like a cast list that seems pretty well corroborated.
It's David Tennant.
It's not David Tennant.
God damn it.
It's not official though, so I don't want to like cite it necessarily. But I will say, all over the place, I've seen the rumor that the actress Lucy Boynton has been cast as Lady Rohan, and I love her. Sing Street. If our producer Carlos is listening, which hopefully he is, he loves Sing Street. She's amazing. She would be incredible in the role. So I hope that that's true. But that's a rumor that has not been like announced in the trades or anything like that. But they were already filming. So like,
I mean, it's bizarre.
I believe they've cast these actors. Sam Sproul, as I mentioned, according to THR, not in season 2.
That's a bummer.
In IGN, for IGN, Ira Parker said, if season 1 is really about fathers and son and what's passed on to the next generation, season 2 will explore the theme of, quote, loyalty and maybe against blind loyalty.
Right.
In Variety, Ira Parker said they do go to Dorne. How much of that will cover, I'll leave up to people to tune in for season 2. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about it yet. But for the most part, we're following the book. So season 1 is The Hedge Knight. Season 2 is The Sworn Sword.
Yeah.
Ira Parker also said HBO. He said this about HBO's permission for season 1, and this applies to season 2, that HBO said anywhere between 30 minutes and 60 minutes is fine for an episode length, which gives us a very large target to hit. We could let them be what they need to be based on the source material. And then he said, one of the promises I made to George very early on is that I wouldn't create story. We were adding to the character and the world. We're writing this TV show as if George had written a novel instead of a novella. So we're just filling out things that he naturally probably would have done. Except for the Maekar thing. So yeah, I will send you the very unofficial cast list that I have seen floating around. I will just say, again, without committing anything, because like it has not been officially announced. It's less the like slight stunt of like a David Tennant and more like what we really like that Hot D does and this season did, which is like find great British actors who've been like, like Birdie, who's been like,
perfect.
Like who has been working for years, who like people saw in Matilda and was in like Jonathan Strange and all this stuff, is like, and like really highlighting them.
Crown.
So like, I think taking like really hardworking British character actors and sort of like giving them time to shine.
Bennis and Eustace are perfect for, I mean, these characters are perfect for that.
Yeah,
I'll be interested to see if Dorne is the beginning, or because there are moments of like thinking back, Chestnut, etc.
But like
that we could get sprinkled in as flashbacks.
I feel a little weird because like, so what I'm hoping is that Dunk goes to Dorne, has sex with, I would like him to
absolutely
drop the V card for Tinsel Too Tall. That sounds great.
No question. Yeah.
But should he be flashing back to that in a season where he is like pursuing another woman? Like, does that feel disrespectful to the very like sweet Tinsel Too Tall story? I don't know how I feel. It'll depend on how it's done.
It'll depend on how he yanks that.
But I
braid.
want to be like really in on the braid yanking.
Yeah.
I am all for it. So like, will Tinsel be a distraction from that? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know.
I'm
just
excited.
asking questions.
Just asking questions. I'm excited. I can't wait.
If you have questions, hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com for our mailbag episode that we will be doing next week. Yeah.
I'm gonna miss talking about the show.
I know, so good. And watching it and seeing all the like Sunday night, like memes and tweets and everyone just being really excited and really, really into it.
I know.
Bummer.
Sad it's over. Hopefully we won't have to wait beyond next winter or like spring. I guess they're gonna have a White Lotus season. And like Harry.
I'm hopeful it comes.
Last of Us. Like,
I'm hopeful it comes.
A lot of stuff coming
with the pit in like that we make like January. Like
maybe they'll do Lotus in like the summer.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it's supposed to be like a Mediterranean Lotus, then sure.
We will be covering it live from France.
Okay. After we go to Stratford and Oxford?
That's right.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we can location scout for
definitely
Pod
do all of these things. Should we wrap it up?
Thank you to the whole team for a wonderful season of deep dives. Thank you, as always, to the Bad Babies for spending hours of your week with us. We never take it for granted. It's always just a joy. Hours and hours every week. You guys are the best. Thank you today to, of course, as always, Carlos Chiriboga, legend, Arjuna Ramgopowell, legend, Jomi Adeniran, legend, the team, but also CT is here with us today for our first day in this new studio, and like the entire Ringer Spotify team. Everyone's here. Kevin's here. Jack's here. Everybody's here. So thank you to everybody who helped us get in here today at the last minute and have this wonderful space. Anything else you want to say about the studio design? We'll probably put some murder cloaks on for the Hot D trailer. I feel like it would be appropriate. We probably should.
Oh, okay. Are they going to fix the AC before we do that?
That's a great question. Join us for the House of the Dragon Season 3 teaser trailer breakdown tomorrow, for the mailbag next week, and then sometime next year in 2027. Is this 2026 this year? What year is it?
But also just stay around because we're doing like Project Hail Mary stuff.
What year is it? Yeah.
Just stick around. Don't leave for a year. We'll be back. Bye.